A Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
Good morning. Thought I'd help you wake up.
It's 6 a.m. and you're listening to The John Kincade Show, Philadelphia's longest-running sports talk morning show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Let the party begin!
The show starts now.
All right, Beat Dallas Week continues. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. Thanks to Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White is here for the pro, sponsoring our 6 a.m. hour, and we greatly appreciate them and greatly appreciate some hot water hitting my head and back this morning, waking me up, getting me rolling for Beat Dallas Week. And Bob, the positive thought, using your mantra, is I love this rivalry. I absolutely love the Eagles and the Cowboys. I love looking forward to it. The games tend to be pretty good even when you lose, as far as, it doesn't tend to be like a 37-10 type of thing unless one quarterback's out or one team's deciding not to play their starters. And we've had a lot of that in the last few years where one team hasn't been into it and has a reason to lay down and or one quarterback's been out. It was fun to see Hurts versus Dak earlier this year. But it's hard to handicap the series between these two teams when so many different quarterbacks have appeared and both teams have had those like tanking type late in matchup seasons and things like that. The one thing I really just love about it, though, is it's the rivalry with the fans. And my biggest issue with the Dallas fans is bragging on 1990s championships. I think trash-talking accomplishments should have a date on them that you can talk trash about them. Like, I don't think the Phillies should be talking trash about the 2008. A Phillies fan should be throwing, like, the 2008 World Championship around. I think there's an expiration date like milk. And to me, Cowboys fans are the worst at it. Washington fans did it for a while, but it's such expired milk, it stinks. It's a third of a century now since they've been relevant. But I think the trash talking is one of the good things about the rivalry. But I also believe, too, that trash talking should have there's got to be an expiration date on when you're bragging about when things happen. When you're talking about stuff that happened in 1996, you got to move on. Because if anybody is like 35 years old or below in our listening audience, they don't remember the Cowboys ever winning a Super Bowl. They don't remember them seeing him do it. They don't remember it, but they still brag on it as if it happened yesterday.
Well, if you get in a fight, you need some ammunition, and that's the only ammunition they really have, I guess.
At this point, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have a Super Bowl. The Eagles have been more prominent, obviously, over the last 25, 30 years than Dallas has been. Cowboys fans are different. I never understood the love, and I saw it at an early age, like kids that you went to school with and stuff. Oh, I love the Cowboys. And I'd just be like, Cowboys? Where the hell do you get the Cowboys?
Was that they were on TV so much, and we had it was a different world than Pat grew up in. It was the era of, like, we had 8 channels till we were probably in, like, middle school. We had probably 8 channels, 9 channels. So you saw the Cowboys a lot. That's what I always blamed it on, that they were always national games a lot.
Yeah, I guess. And then our generation passes it down, I guess, to, their sons, their kids, whatever. And I don't know. I never understood the love of the Cowboys in a national sense. Maybe that's it, John. Maybe you're right. Maybe back in the day, because they were the team that was on TV the most, it just got passed around. But
remember when Acme had to buy tickets, or some local business would agree to buy the last 1,000 tickets so we'd get to see the game on TV?
Oh, so it wouldn't be blacked
Remember
out?
the blackouts? I mean, we dealt with blackouts.
Yeah.
Now then, Pat and guys like Chunas and Brendan and Haley have never lived in that era.
Yeah, it's cool.
When the NFL blacked out home games, if you didn't sell every ticket.
Yeah.
People talk about it being so bad now, the NFL leadership. I think that was a bad decision.
Well, I mean, think about, too, the day and age that you guys, I say
right.
we, but I wasn't alive, but the day and age you guys lived in at the time wasn't just the NFL, it was sports in general. I mean, the NBA was on tape delay.
Right. NBA Finals on tape delay.
Tape delay.
after the 11 o'clock news.
I mean, most sports were kind of on tape delay.
Hockey did.
Yeah, I remember.
Hockey did, though, was network.
The 1980, though, the gold medal game was tape delayed.
Tape delayed.
So, that was kind of just sports in general. And then I would say it really started to, like, take its stride in the 80s and kind of take over days of the week, if you will. And the TV rights came in and, they started battling to make the product a little bit bigger to attract the leagues. And that's, I feel like the mid 80s, 90s, like that's when sports really started kind of taking its, the look that we know it to today.
And football passed baseball. And you can't even imagine, Pat, a day when baseball was bigger than football in this country. But it existed. Baseball was the American pastime. And then at some point, Bob, it just passed it. And football obsession became the biggest thing in this country. I mean, baseball.
I don't remember baseball ever being. Maybe that's just in mine. I don't remember baseball being bigger than football. Probably more even.
Nationwide, I think.
Yeah, maybe it was.
America's pastime and that was honestly, in our lifetimes, football is when it's taken off and taking care of business. I just think in a rivalry week, that's one of the things I think of. One thing I didn't want to hear yesterday, though, was as, you try to close the book on the San Francisco game and everything like that, was two guys that I respect their eyeballs and their analysis very much on what they thought about the Eagles' coaching effort on Sunday afternoon. The first, Jeff McClain, joined Andrew Salchunas yesterday right here on The Fanatic, and I want you to hear what he had to say about some of the positions and coaching on
There's
Sunday.
definitely areas that you could say they were exposed, and I think stylistically, 49ers aren't the greatest matchup for the Eagles, but that's a talented team. It's a well-coached team. I think talent-wise, the Eagles are there. Obviously, they have a really good roster. I think coaching-wise, they're there as well. But, yeah, I mean, they have been living on a prayer in some ways, and as you mentioned, some of these victories that they've had before hasn't been the cleanest of football, and some of the positional concerns that they've had certainly were exposed, primarily, obviously, a linebacker. I think in the secondary is another one. But I think a lot of it had to do with the coaching staff. They had a better game plan than the Eagles on both sides of the ball, and the Eagles did not adjust.
The coaching staff Jeff's analysis, the coaching staff got more exposed than any player or anything. And that bothers me. Then you had Brandon Brooks, too, talking about it on the best show ever. And the same type of discussion came out. Were the Eagles out-coached versus the 49ers? Listen in.
I still think that they have the best roster in football. It's just they got out-coached this last game. We saw Shanahan say, all right, then, we can't block these guys one-on-one, so we're going to make sure we bring in more blockers. We're going to call a little more play action, which allowed them to then push the ball down the field. We got out-coached in that aspect. They window-dressed a lot, got this defense unorganized because now these young linebackers don't know who they have and where they're supposed to be at and where their run fits are or anything else, which allowed them then to take the game over. We just got out-coached, I think, this game. So going forward, it's upon that coaching staff and then those players to say, you know what, we are the best team. Let's start acting like it. Let's become more fundamentally sound. Do what we're supposed to do. Worry about ourselves, and we'll be a much better team going forward.
Barrett Brooks from NBC Sports Philadelphia yesterday, hanging out with the best show ever. Similar type message, different delivery, but they seem both to put it more on coaching that they lost on Sunday than players. And that was one of the discussions we had on Monday. But that's something that bothers me going into Dallas when the other team has more time to prepare, more time to rest and things like that. And I wonder, does that carry over to another week? I don't think that Shanahan's coaching staff is anything similar to Mike McCarthy's. But does the familiarity help from the last matchup? You don't play San Francisco twice a year. Does the familiarity help them this week when they really could use it, as everybody seems to be getting a schedule advantage over them the last few weeks?
Yeah, probably. You're familiar with CeeDee Lamb. You're familiar with Dak Prescott, all the things that they do. McCarthy's been there for a couple of years now, so you know what his tendencies are. San Francisco comes in here on a whirlwind, kind of them saying last year if they had Brock Purdy, it would be a different story. Maybe it would have been. You didn't know exactly what that team was about because of what happened to Purdy last year. They come in here and boom, they just smack you in the face. I don't think Dallas will do anything unexpected. If they're trying to exploit the Eagles, it's probably in a way that they've tried before, so the Eagles should be ready for it. I the schedule has sucked. I mean, three hard games in 13 days. That's really tough. Does it get easier this week? Maybe not. You're
Not
going
with a
into
team
a
in
place.
10 days rest.
You're going into a place where they've won 14 in a row. That ain't easy. So we'll see. We'll do another speak for yourself a little bit later with the coordinators.
7:20
and my
today.
God, I think out of maybe 30 questions, 23 times I got to put the guy in better position.
Yeah, I hate that answer.
I know it was horrible yesterday. They got their asses kicked, and they're not really saying why, and that's okay. I understand it. But yeah, you need to see a better effort from everybody. You can debate coaches or players. To me, it's what's on the field. You get out there and play. And they were overmatched tremendously on Sunday.
When Jeff McClain and Barrett Brooks, though, both go to the coaching as being the number one issue, does that concern you moving forward, or do you just say bad day? Because Dallas has had bad days. San Francisco's had bad days. They had 3 weeks in a row where they lost. I mean, coaches have bad days, but rarely does it seem so uniform in, it was the plan on Sunday. It was the plan. I think Shanahan is brilliant. And watching the 15-minute game, I think it was more brilliant. Throwing out of the running formations, which always interests me, running out of throwing formations. All the movement, which has always been a signature of his offense. All the movement to try to confuse the defense. And Eagles players said flat out they were confused by all the movement. They weren't ready for it.
Yeah,
Which scares me.
There's nothing about Sunday that you don't come out, upset about. You can be upset with Big Dom. You can be upset with how they took the tee off the field. There is nothing that you're coming out of Sunday saying, yeah, but that's okay. Nothing. It was a 42-19 ass kicking. There ain't nothing you come out of there saying, yeah, but in a positive way. There just isn't.
You take the 7:20 today. Bob will do a coordinators edition of Speak for Yourself. I have a special announcement at 7:30 about an event coming up on December the 12th that you will have an opportunity to be a part of. Plus, we will also have today Adam Schefter joining us at 8 o'clock. Pat's got Pat's takes for us. So lots going on throughout the course of the morning. Scott in West Philly's up early, and he's obviously got a thought on what we're talking about here with the Eagles. Does it concern you, Scott, that the two really guys that at least I respect greatly think Sunday it was about the coaching?
It does, and it's like we've been repeating the same story all season. I mean, Desai's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Brian Johnson only comes alive in the second half. It's finally caught up to us. My biggest question is, I like Nick. I'm a big fan of Nick, but what does he do besides rally the troops? I mean, he doesn't call plays.
No.
And if he is calling plays, that's not good. Where's the short intermediate passes? Before you guys cut me, I saw something on Monday when they brought in C.J. Beathard. Immediately, quick passes. They was getting the ball out of his hands fast. Why doesn't Jalen do that? It just seems like backyard football. A.J. go long, and we just throw it. Where's the get the offense going? Yeah,
Pat, Scott, that's something that we talked about yesterday. Pat's talked about it. Bob's talked about it. We've had the discussion over and over, is that, look, last year the offense looked smooth, precise, with a plan. And Bob talked about it yesterday, the go run to the Datsun and make a left. I was laughing as my first car was a Datsun. So I said, Pat's never seen a Datsun, probably on the road.
Seen plenty of Datsuns.
Yeah.
Saw 5 driving to work this
Well, that's
morning.
pretty good. Then those people are in bummy cars. Those things are really old by now. But it's that idea of it looks like street ball. And if you watch the 15-minute game, you see the San Francisco offense looks precise, looks smooth, and the Eagles offense looks like just scrambled.
Yeah, I mean, on the play where Jalen Hurts tripped over the blades of grass and, lost 15 yards on that sack on the second series, they ran everybody there at the 14-yard line. They ran everybody deep and to the right. And it was like, all right, what's going on here? So then he starts to point try to go over there, try to go over there. He had 7.5 seconds to throw the football. And you're telling me it was all one-on-one coverage throughout the whole secondary, one-on-one coverage. And A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith couldn't get open on one-on-one coverage?
Well, at the end of that play, and if you watch the all-22, he had DeAndre Swift and Devontae Smith both moving to his left, and they both had a step on the guy that was covering them. So if Jalen puts it like on the edge of the end zone, on the side barrier, and there was only one guy going to catch it. It was going to be either Devontae or it was going to be DeAndre. We're going to be able to have a chance to catch it, whether there would have been a chance or not. Instead, he tripped, and I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I hope going into Dallas week, in beat Dallas week, we're not talking about the coaches being. If you're out coached by Mike McCarthy, that would be a problem to me. So we got a lot to talk about today, obviously, with the Cowboys and the Eagles. We'll have plenty of it. Remember, Bob Speak for Yourself with the coordinators comes up today at 7:20. Special announcement at 7:30. Lots to come, and as we get started this morning, it shouldn't be, I think, the discussion that we're having, but I think it's a trend, and it's a trend that maybe should concern us. John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic. Hey, Wawa fans, this holiday season, give the gift of Wawa with Wawa Gift.
Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
All week long, we're giving away $50 Wawa gift cards in the 9 o'clock hour. But you got to be listening in the 6, 7, and 8 to know the entire order that is being created. We'll have a Wawa contest for you. So in the 6 o'clock hour today, I'll get it started with a little lunch order for after the show. Wawa's got you covered with gift cards for everyone on your shopping list. Happy holidays from our friends at Wawa. So I'll do the 6, Pat will do the 7, and Bob will do the 8 today. So we'll see how it goes today with a little lunch order. And Bob, did the discussion of Wawa yesterday make you head into Wawa after the show? For any reason?
I didn't go to Wawa yesterday because I remembered when I went food shopping on Saturday. I picked up some soups for me to have during the week. And so there was one in particular I was anxious to try, and it was a jambalaya soup.
Ooh.
It was really good.
I bet.
Yeah,
a little spicy?
Had a little kick
you don't
to
like
it.
too much spice.
I don't like too much. It had just enough. It was fine.
All right. We've been discussing, look, we got it kicked off today with, we tried to close the book yesterday on the discussion of, like, what happened on Sunday afternoon. And then we heard from Barrett Brooks and we heard from Jeff McClain yesterday from the best show ever and from Andrew Salchunas that the idea of that the team was outcoached. But it seems like there's a lot of people have a lot of differing opinions. And Tim in Rochester wanted to jump in on it. Tim, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Yes. Good morning.
Hi, Tim.
Yes. With Jalen Hurts, something's not right. He's not reading defenses or something. Because me and my son was looking at the game, and Devontae Smith and Swift, I said, just throw the ball. They had like a yard step on, over the other guy. Only thing you had to do was just throw it, leave them. That would have been a touchdown. And what's his name? David Carr?
Yeah. Well, we'll hear that later. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to just – something's not right. He got to learn how to read defense.
Well, David Carr couldn't read a defense himself, so I really don't need to hear from David Carr on that. We will hear from David Carr, though, coming up. I don't need to hear his analysis. But the open guys, it was clear Sunday, Bob. There were opportunities. And they talked about the fact that some of the Eagles beat writers, a couple different ones, Andrew DiCecco, one of them, and some others. Jack Stahl was open quite a few times as a check down. So you just say, I don't want to go to Jack Stahl, or
I'm sorry. The scary part is people are starting to say, is this Jalen Hurts from 2021 where he wasn't seeing guys that were open? Are his eyes starting to go certain places, all that? I hear the talk about the coaches and all, and I understand it. And they didn't have a good game, no doubt about it. But Pat had a hockey game last night. He lost 6-0. He just said, we just don't have enough
confidence.
Oh, that was terrible.
He said, we just didn't have enough talent. Well, guess what? The Eagles don't have enough talent defensively to stop San Francisco. You could have had Bill Belichick, Tom Landry. You could have had anybody on those sidelines on Sunday coaching that defense. You ain't stopping that offense. You get me, Deebo Samuel, going against Morrow. You get Christian McCaffrey running out and up routes against Christian Morrow. Or Nicholas Morrow. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't. Go ahead. You two run a 40-yard dash. You're 2.5 seconds faster, but I'm going to coach you to be only 1 second slower. It's not going to happen.
Did any Eagles coach on the defensive side of the ball or any Patriots coach on the defensive side of the ball have a good Super Bowl in Super Bowl 52? Both offenses just tore up the defenses, made them look like they couldn't get a stop. Either team couldn't get a stop. And that's Bill Belichick, defensive genius. It's a guy who in Jim
sometimes
Schwartz,
the players are better.
Yes, I mean, it's like I think people are overreacting a little bit to being outcoached, because I don't think the Eagles have been outcoached. I can't tell you that I've said they've been outcoached often this year. I think they've won games where the other team maybe had a better approach. I think the Buffalo game, to me, still, a guy doesn't make a 60-yard field goal, you don't even go to overtime, you lose that game. And then we would really be in panic mode at that point. People would be going nuts if that was the case. There is one trend I concern myself with. There's a trend that hurts everyone who plays the 49ers. Last season was the first time in NFL history, by the way, that they've tracked this since they've been tracking this, and they've been tracking it since the 90s. Teams were 0-15 the week after they played the 49ers. 0-15.
Yeah.
The 49ers beat you twice. The trend, by the way, was 1-3 this season starting out, and it continues to be among the best in the NFL. The Eagles have to show they can shake it off, with apologies to Travis Kelce there, in a difficult spot. But the whole idea of the 49ers do something to you. And yes, it could be physical, that it's such a physical game you have a tough time recovering from it. That's not good going up against a Dallas team that wants to make it a track meet. But to me, too, I wonder if that 0-15 mark last year, which set a record since 1997, I guess 25 years, of no team being undefeated. Every time they beat somebody, they lose again. I wonder if part of it is psychological. The beatdown you take.
I don't know if a beatdown is psychological. Yeah, I think it's more physical.
You think it's more the physical
like,
beatdown that they put on?
The last time I heard this about, John, it's funny you bring it up, was the Baltimore Ravens back in the day and the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the day. When they played each other, and that rivalry, and this is back when Flacco was probably the quarterback of the Ravens.
Flacco and Big Ben.
Yeah, when they
rivalry.
played each other, the next week, I think those two teams were bad because they just beat the hell out of each other. I think it's more of a physical thing than anything else.
You think physical or mental, Pat? Like
well,
you think
obviously it's both, but
I mean, 0-15 is a damning mark. They beat you up, though, man.
yeah.
And the Eagles don't beat people up.
No, they don't. I mean, and that was pretty evident with the way that their tackling went down. You know, they were getting run over.
But as Bob points out, it's what do you expect with the talent you have? You have two corners who don't tackle. You have a mixed group at safety. Blankenship does his damn well best. He at least I'm going to give him effort for the effort that he tries distinctly hard every week. But this team doesn't beat people up. And last year they beat up quarterbacks. And I think that you get in quarterbacks' heads and create psychological damage in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, when you just keep hitting them. It just doesn't seem like that. First two drives it did.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that, and it goes back to our earlier topic. They don't hit people real hard. Is that coaching?
Or is it talent?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, last year,
I don't think you're going to tell anybody to hit harder or to tackle. You know, you could try to teach them to tackle, but look, tackling, we all know. It's like defense in any sport. It's what you want to do. You're a professional football player, so you're a great athlete. You can get yourself in position to make a tackle. I don't think that has much to do with coaching at all.
The weird thing is I think looking at the 49ers and the way they play and the way they play defense, they play a Philadelphia style of defense. They play a style of defense that this city would just adore. And by the way, remember, as much as Jim Schwartz in the Super Bowl, gave up a ton of yards, there was the 2-year stretch under Doug Peterson with Jim Schwartz where they gave up less than 14 points at home, where they were giving up like 13 at home. That's dominant. That's D. They've gotten away from that. And I don't know if it's a philosophy thing or what it is, but the Eagles defense is not punishing anymore. And that used to be part of the trademark of what the Eagles did.
Yeah, well, where's the talent? Like, we weren't blaming a defensive coordinator against, say, Kansas City, whose offense is a little down, but
right.
The defensive coordinator also made a call that allowed Valdez-Scantling to be wide open and should have had a game-winning touchdown right on the tip of his fingers and didn't catch the ball. Is that a coaching thing or a talent thing? There's I don't know. We talk about hitting. You talk about not getting to the quarterback or not being able to cover to the middle. Okay, we can scheme it all you want, but I still go back to, and no disrespect to McClain or Barrett Brooks. Nah, to me, it's talent. You just can't do it.
Are we giving because I wonder about that is when you blame coaches, are you giving the players a pass? And do we give the players a pass because no one tends to be, no one goes into the building with a Sirianni jersey on, Pat. No one goes into the building wearing a Sean Desai jersey. Everybody roots for players, and that's their favorite player.
Are you telling me that I need to kind of closet my Marty Morningweg Eagles jersey.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Come on,
That'd be a bad look.
Number 6'9".
That wouldn't be a bad. It wouldn't be.
No, I mean, look, it's probably it's definitely both. I mean, it's definitely a combination of both. You know, the problem is like this gives credence to all the people that called up and were saying that they were thinking the Eagles were kind of paper tigers because of everything you just said, Bob, with, you know, the Scanling play, and, you know, they were kind of getting, if you want to look even into the Dallas game, right? It's like a game of inches, but if those inches go the other way, you lose that game. The Bills game's another example.
59-yard field goal.
Yeah, and you know, Darius Slay should have gotten called for pass interference. All of it, add it all up, and it's like this season could be going very, very differently. I still kind of lean towards coaching. More than talent?
I do too. I do too.
Because this team is still really talented. Like, I think Desai is getting a little bit of a pass. His secondary at this point isn't as horrible on paper as people want to make it out, but I don't think he's putting them in the right position. Now, look, he was dealt a bad hand when he lost Avonte Maddox in, game 1 of the season. I mean, losing your slot corner is really tough.
That was brutal.
But they've gone and they've addressed that. And now it's like you look at the defensive line and you look at the secondary, and really the only gap there is the linebackers are terrible. But he doesn't have talent in linebackers, but everywhere else I go, all right, like he's got talent, and what's he kind of doing with it? And Brian Johnson, I said it all season, but I feel like that team, this team scores despite him. Like, this team is so talented that it's like, yeah, okay, they'll put up 24 points mailing it in. But you guys are right. When you look at the tape and stuff, and it's Jalen Hurts just staring at A.J. Brown the entire time and zeroing in on him and not doing checkdowns or anything, it's troubling.
I mean, I guess it just goes back to me, like, more often than not in pro sports, who makes who look better? Do players make coaches look better, or do coaches make players look better?
Coaches make players look better.
I don't agree with that even a little bit. No. I mean, you give somebody a great team, a lot of times it doesn't matter
Giannis,
who's coaching.
Shaq, Kobe, that's different. But the majority of guys are in I would think the majority of NFL rosters are comparable talent across the NFL. The majority of NFL rosters. If you're talking about, not talking about the star players, take the 6 or 7 stars out. You got then 45 other guys. I would believe that the majority of teams, if you took players like 20 to 40, are relatively same neighborhood.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm still convinced that players make coaches. I mean,
well, you've seen
look no better than who's the best NFL coach that we think of all time? Bill Belichick. You took away Tom Brady.
See, I think Andy Reid is.
All right.
I honestly do. I do, and that's an honest opinion that I think.
Well, okay. I mean, just in general.
I get you, though. But Belichick gets talked about, right?
Yeah.
Because Phil Jackson gets talked about.
You have a handful of coaches that you can say, wow, they really made a difference on it. They're a great coach. If I can get that coach, they're going to make a difference. There's tons of players that you can say that about. There's tons of just quarterbacks in football. So, yeah, I always think the players make the coaches look better more so than the coaches make the players look better.
Last year, it was – you think it was the jump that Jalen Hurts took? Was that Sirianni and Shane Steichen?
I think it was a combination of everything.
Or was it more Jalen? Because Jalen certainly doesn't look like last year. No matter what you say. He's going to set career highs, by the way, in every statistic. Now, part of that is what Pat pointed out in the preseason. He's going to play a lot more minutes because of the fact that this team isn't blowing people out and they got to play to the last whistle pretty much every single week. But he's going to set career highs in every statistic, but we're all of the belief that he doesn't look the same, that he doesn't look as good. So is that last year you had Steichen, who is, by the way, appearing to be – by the way, Steichen continues to just win games over and over with Gardner Minshew as his starter, and he's winning in Indianapolis. Imagine when he gets his real quarterback back. I mean, I wonder if it's coaching. What was the jump last year? Because everybody gave Jalen the credit for it. Maybe it was a lot of more coaching.
Well, I mean, when Jalen Hurts is out there and he doesn't see something open and he scrambles for a 20-yard gain, how much of that is the coaching?
Yeah,
it's not. It comes down to the athleticism of athletes, like 80% of the time. Yeah, you want to. And the favorite quote of the Eagles coaches this yesterday, especially, got to put them in the right positions. Okay, but if they're not in the right positions, who wins the battle? You have one athlete against another athlete.
The better athlete.
Is the athlete looking and saying, well, what would my coach tell me to do here? No, I think athletes to me are far more a priority than the coaching.
Have we overinflated this roster then? Because a lot of people have said, oh, the Eagles have the best roster in the NFL. I think on offense,
offensively,
I would take the Eagles offense up against Miami and anybody else you want to throw at me. But defensively, I mean, the numbers aren't lying. You're 24th in points allowed. That's pitiful. I mean, you're the 9th worst team in the NFL in points allowed. That's not good. You can't spin it any other way. That's not good. And 30th in pass, yardage and things like that. You can't do it. There's no way to spin that this is working out. And is it the athletes or is it the coaching? I think a lot of the same athletes are on this roster. And unless they did take huge steps back, then you got to talk about the approach. I think offensively, though, it's clear that there's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference in play calling. There's a difference in smoothness, the balance. And that's something that they gotta get back to. And hopefully it'll happen this week against the Cowboys. I want you to hear about what kind of impact the Eagles' newest addition should make. Plus, remember, we got Speak for Yourself at 7:20. We have a special announcement at 7:30. We got Pat's Takes. We got Adam Schefter coming up at 8 o'clock. You don't want to turn the dial, miss anything. John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. I don't want to
The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
You got like a sandwich of Cooney and Egan coming up where Cooney will do the Speak for Yourself Coordinators Edition at 7:20. And then Egan will entertain you at the back end with with his takes of the week, which is always fun. And in the middle, we'll have a special announcement coming up at around 7:30, so you do not want to miss it. Plus, I have to give you my Wawa order. I got to get it started for a lunch order here. I'm going to start out very simply here. I would like the meatball shorty. Meatball shorty, simple. It's not. It's the perfect size for a sandwich, especially at lunchtime. You don't want to pile on too much at lunch if it's going to ruin your dinner or otherwise. The meatball shorty on the run. Remember that one. Put it in your memory bank. 7 o'clock hour, Paddle adds something. 8 o'clock hour, Bob adds something. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, you call in. If you can recite the entire order, you'll win a $50 Wawa gift card. And I want to remind you, too, Wawa has gift cards for everyone on your shopping list, including third-party vendors like Amazon and stuff. So check it out. Happy holidays from Wawa. I wanted you to hear about the newest arrival, Shaq Leonard, and the assessment that came yesterday on Andrew's show with the best show and the best show ever with Barrett Brooks and Andrew's show with Jeff McClain. First, Jeff McClain giving his opinion on the assessment of Shaq Leonard.
I don't know how much he's going to play. He's got to learn the scheme. He'll probably play on Sunday. We'll see how many snaps. I still think you're going to see Nicholas Morrow. I didn't watch every game, but I watched some of the last games before he was deactivated and eventually waived, and it's not particularly positive. This is a guy, before 2 back surgeries, is one of the best off-ball linebackers in the NFL. So you have that. He's a good culture guy. He's smart. He's long. Under those expectations alone, I think that you'd think that he'll upgrade the position. But I think the Eagles are also very clear and understanding that they're not getting that guy from the first 4 seasons. They expect Leonard to come in and be that guy or even just to be kind of like a game-changing guy. I don't know if that's a reality.
A little concerned about the how many snaps he'll play. Because I was sort of expecting, you could plug him in and he'd be able to do that. The idea that Jeff brings up the idea of the snap total bothers me a bit. Barrett Brooks talked about it on the best show ever about is Leonard an upgrade? He tells you.
At this point, you're talking about a guy that can come in and instantly, be better than what we had out there. I'm going to tell you the truth. I like Ellis, but I think he's just a little below what we need right now as a starter, especially with the way our defense is constructed. The middle of our defense is just bad right now because we don't have those players that could really make a difference. Tackling was bad from the middle linebacker position and the will linebacker position. We just didn't have guys in there, and the teams are taking advantage of it. That's why you see all these tight ends with all these great numbers. Going into this next game, Ferguson has me scared to death, and Tony Pollard has me scared to death because those two can be around in that middle of that defense, and they can live there. They can feast there. So we need somebody there to at least make a presence, at least make you think about, all right, are we going to let these guys just roam around there and not, stand checked at all? We got to have somebody in there that they can fear a little bit.
Barrett Brooks on the best show ever and Jeff McClain earlier from Andrew Salchunas. Again, not glowing reviews on Shaq Leonard. But again, a consensus. Better than what you got. But maybe how much better is going to be the issue.
It's not good. I mean, it's not good. Morrow's the guy you're relying on mostly.
Sure.
You cut him. Let's not forget that.
Yes.
You cut him. He was not good enough to be on your team when the season started, and now he's your most stable linebacker. Okay, tell me where coaching comes into play there. It's really scary what it is. And McClain said it best. He's come off 2 back surgeries. He might be smart. He still might be a really good, heady linebacker. But if his body doesn't allow him to get where he needs to go, he could be coached. They could coach his ass off. If he can't get to where he needs to be or where they want him to be, it doesn't matter.
Here's my concern, Pat, is that they're going to get to Seattle Giants, Arizona Giants, and they're going to get on a roll, and we're going to overlook everything that we've seen in the most important games.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Ignorance is bliss. I love it. Let me forget the pain.
That's on your business card.
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, probably. I mean, in all honesty, what you're saying there is probably pretty accurate.
They get on a roll, and everyone thinks, okay, they're back. They fixed everything.
Yeah, we'll chalk it up to they fixed everything. They will chalk it up to, hey, that was one bad game.
Wow.
It's one of the reasons, though, why I think this Sunday's game is telling, but it'll be, I think, a talking point of how good are they? You know, because you're going to look at the opponent and you're going to go, okay, are they just beating up on like a weaker team? Or were they actually able? But there's a chance, though, that yes, they do that, but they're actually able to fix those deficiencies that they had. You know, I mean, there's a chance that, yeah, they fixed everything, and it just so happens that the Arizona Cardinals are on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, the end of the schedule is very fortuitous, and nobody thought in the beginning of the year because the Giants were good last year. Pat and I both had suspected the Giants would take a little step back. I don't think anybody thought it would be this bad. Pat, did you? I mean,
no, but it's fun to watch.
It is fun. Yeah, I enjoy it.
I wanted Brian Daboll as the coach when Sirianni got hired, but I don't really like him. Like I think he's a good football. I think he's a JO.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's a good football guy, but I think he's a JO.
What do you think of Sirianni?
Oh, I would hate him if he was an Eagles coach.
Right.
Absolutely hate him.
Okay, I get it. I get sort of what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be
Homer boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But no, I just I enjoy watching the Giants, especially because I have family that are like Giant season ticket holders. They don't talk crap.
They don't?
No. Really? We have a mutual understanding of, hey, you stay on that side of the fence, I'll stay on this one, and we'll talk football, but when it comes down to the actual games and stuff.
So you don't talk trash.
Actually, the last time he tried to talk trash was the playoff game.
Wow.
He said it's going to be the Nate Sudfeld revenge game.
Oh, jeez.
That's why I hate Dallas as much as I do also. You know, in my circle, which is pretty big, I know more Dallas fans than I do Giants fans, and the Giants are, 90 miles away from here?
Yeah.
Is that nuts? And I live in Jersey, where the Giants play.
You're like 70 miles.
I think I know one Giants fan among my circle, and numerous Cowboys fans.
I have Cowboy fans that I can count on two hands. Giant fans, I have more though. Temple, I had some Giant fans, some people who were Jersey people who came down and they were Giant fans, and they wore their Giants with pride back then. Because the Giants were really, really good.
The Giants were good, yeah.
They were really, really
LT.
good. I don't hear as much. I think still the best football player I ever saw.
My Giants family members would agree with you on that.
Lawrence Taylor to me is the best player.
It's LT number 1, Jeff Hostetler number 2, and then whoever a distant third.
Yeah, you can find it out.
By the way, not to kind of derail totally. Did you guys watch the Barry Sanders? Forgot to bring this up. Did you guys watch the Barry Sanders documentary on Amazon?
I've not.
It was really, really good. If anyone has a chance to watch it, it's all about like a sit down and deep dive into why he walked away and his personality type. And they actually get him on the record, like talking about the decision and all that went into it. They interview a couple, Detroit celebrities on what he meant to the city and the reaction and everything.
It wasn't bad.
But it was really good. It was really insightful. Look, for me, he retired when I was kind of just understanding the game and getting into football.
How old was he when he retired?
He retired 10 seasons, maybe. He retired early. He didn't push it.
Yeah, but if you're looking for something
incredible.
like last night would have been, I should have brought this up yesterday, but last night would have been a perfect opportunity when you don't have, the Sixers playing, the Flyers are off. Check it out. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay,
so you got 10 years out of Barry Sanders. This kind of goes to something that I was talking about yesterday. All right, 10 seasons out of Barry Sanders, one of the greatest of all time. Here's what he went. 16-game seasons, don't forget. He went 15-16, 15-16, 11. I think that was a shortened season. 16-16, 16-16, 16. His touch, this is just his rushing attempts, because I'm equating it to what we talked about yesterday with DeAndre Swift, and nothing against DeAndre Swift at all, but I'm talking about the kid gloves that they're treating him with. Barry Sanders rushing attempts, 255, 342, 312, 243, 331, 314, 307, 335, 343. DeAndre Swift is like at 140 total touches.
Yeah, well, they got him in bubble wrap right now.
Yeah. Like, what?
I don't get it.
It's the day and age. It's the day and age of the NFL running back.
It's the soy boy NFL.
It's the we have to have a tandem. Like I was watching, and I had betting interest in the game, but I was watching Monday's game, right? And I had Travis Etienne to get like over, I don't know, 60 yards or something. And they gave Dearness, whatever, like 6 carries, and he was terrible. And it's just like, why aren't you giving the main guy the ball? Because you're right, Bob, that's what it used to be. And I'm sitting there looking at Dearness Johnson going, oh, my God, that's Jacksonville's Kenny Gainwell. Like, so it's and unfortunately, there are no, like, bell cow backs, really. It's even Derrick Henry's now kind of in a timeshare a little bit.
Yeah, I got to tell people that if you didn't see Barry Sanders play,
he's amazing.
You have to go back and look at highlights of him. His next to last year that he retired, he rushed for 2,053 yards. The guy was, I would get him on my fantasy team every year, whether it was smart or not, just because I loved watching him so much.
It's fun to watch. 7 a.m. hour brought to you by the all-new BetParx app. Sportsbook and casino in one sleek, easy-to-use app in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Speak for yourself at 7:20. Coordinators edition. Maybe we'll get some answers. Pat, the David Carr audio is that Brendan grabbed is really interesting to me, where somebody who is an analyst on the NFL Network. Now, he's sort of a C-list NFL Network analyst. He doesn't work the main shows. But I think he's showing you why. This analysis yesterday on Jalen Hurts raised a lot of interest and was trending in Philadelphia for like 3 hours last night. Listen to this.
Clearly, Jalen isn't comfortable reading through a defense in a drop-back pass scenario. Some would say he's not even good at it. And I think that when you look at this team, you have to have a serious conversation if you're Philly. And you have to really say, is it better for us to play Marcus Mariota right now and let Jalen get fully healthy? Ooh. Like, if you're Nick Sirianni, this is the type of decision and conversation you have to have. If you have a big picture mentality, that's all Jalen talks about, is the end result and getting to the Super Bowl and winning that thing. Put Marcus in there, win a couple games.
Oh, my gosh.
I'd say he's probably better playing quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh!
Right now, he would be more productive.
Hey, David Carr, if I could do a little homework for you, because obviously you don't do it, and you've got an entire team there at the NFL Network to help you, contact anyone around the Atlanta Falcons organization. Anyone. Executive, media member who covers the team on a daily basis. Marcus Mariota quit on his teammates last year. And he quit when he was removed as the starting quarterback. Go and check what happened when he left Tennessee, too. This is not the guy that you're saying, first of all, you haven't watched him play if you think he's a better option than Jalen Hurts. He couldn't control the starting job in the last 2 places he's been. Why would he come to an elite team and be that guy? He's not. He's not that guy. As Bob would say, he's not that guy. And the idea that Jalen Hurts, who was the MVP candidate leader going into the game on Sunday, is now so deficient that you would think about Marcus Mariota coming in is absolutely absurd. It's absurd. It makes no sense to me.
If Jalen Hurts had a broken leg and they were still trotting him out there, that may have some some validity. But that's one of the most horrible takes I've ever heard.
He's not even on an injury report.
No, that's just you know what? He accomplished his goal because you brought his name up today. So David Carr accomplished his goal,
and I think that
by
might be the
saying
case.
Something so stupid that he knew that most of America would be talking about him today, specifically Philadelphia.
I think that's what's interesting about this, Pat. And a little birdie put it in my ear, and I shared it this morning on social. Contract is up at the end of this NFL season.
Oh, David Carr's?
So maybe you want to create a little buzz. You want to maybe change your MO, get a little attention.
Like, I was kind of with him a little bit there at the beginning when he was kind of like, all right, you sit Jalen Hurts, you get him healthy. You got games coming up against Giants, against Carolina, or against the Cardinals. Okay, I can buy that. Like, yeah, I wouldn't do it, but I can understand the logic of it.
Yeah, if they clinch something or if it's already established.
And then you go into the whole he's like better, and yeah, you lost me there, Chief.
Yeah, I mean, I can't
But you got to
imagine
remember,
that.
too, this guy was somebody who took like 300 sacks in like one season. You know, he's been knocked around a bit.
And the best part is, talk about David Carr reading defenses. And you can go back and you can read like 50 different notations where people who covered the John McClain, who covered the Houston Texans, one of like the worst guys ever at reading defenses. I'm surprised David Carr can read cue cards or can read a show sheet. to understand what he's supposed to talk about. This is that's really bad. And the thing is Jalen Hurts, again, is not even on the injury report. Again, you got people going, oh, he's hurt. He's hurt. They have no freaking clue.
Well, I understand you can make a case like, there must be something there because he just doesn't look right. Okay, that's fine. But to say you're better off to sit him and put Marcus Mariota in the game, that's borderline an asinine statement.
Yeah, it just doesn't. And again, Bob, your point summarizes it perfectly, though. This is exactly what he was probably looking for.
Yeah.
Is that Chris Sims viral moment that everybody talks about, and man, I'm trending. I'm look, people are listening to me. But when you're being listened to for stupid stuff, I'm not sure that works.
If I was thinking of this last night when I saw it. If I was on the set with him, just like I'm saying now, I probably would have said, all right, next topic. I wouldn't have even given him the platform to say, oh, really? Why do you say that? I really wouldn't have, because it's so asinine. It makes no sense at all.
Yeah, it really is. It's so surprising. It just is. It is surprising because I don't think that's something that somebody would want to run with as far as that's concerned. All right, Pat, it's a little early, but we like to change things up a little bit. Can you give us something to add to the Wawa order for lunch? Now, I did mine in the 6 o'clock hour, but we have so much going on in the 7. I want to make sure I don't forget, as the chemo brain still is very, very rampant. So what would you like to add to our lunch order?
All right, so this is for us, right?
Yeah, this is for us. It's a lunch order.
Okay, just make sure. Yesterday was Tunis.
Yes.
Right, and I love what Bobby did with that.
Bobby did something selfish.
Yeah, and that was genius because it worked.
It did work.
For this hour,
yes,
I am going to go with the Hers sweet potato kettle cooked chips.
I have never tried them.
My God.
I've never tried them.
They'll put hair on your chest.
Oh, my.
Life-changing.
I love so many of the Hers flavors. I tried they have a sriracha one. I can't think of what it is. I can't do that. But it's in the small it had kick after the chip. So you had the chip, and then afterwards you're like, oh, yeah, I taste it. That was great. So that's good. So our friend said Hers. So we got that. So Pat's in. I'm in. Bob will put his order in the 8 o'clock hour. He'll add something to that order. And in the 9 o'clock hour, you'll call. And if you are the lucky caller that can recite the order back to us, Wawa will have you covered with a $50 gift card, which Dave yesterday said that's only like a couple stops for him.
Dave loads up when he goes in.
When he goes in. See, for me, that'd be like that'd probably be 6-7 visits to Wawa, 6 or 7.
Yeah, I would go probably around 5.
Yeah, I mean that's great. That's the best thing about Wawa, though. You can roll in and be able to take care of that and get that rolling. We have so much coming up on the show today, and so much Eagles talk and to get to. But the Sixers are back in action tonight, Bob.
Yeah, they are. Down in Washington.
It seems like it's been
took the train.
Right.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of people down there, and they said this nice little respite is pretty cool. So they've been off since what, Friday? That's when they played Boston, right? Is that's the last time they played?
Yeah, it's been that long. Yeah, Friday was it, right?
Game?
No, Friday was it.
Yeah,
it was that
valiant. Yeah,
it was that great
Friday.
effort.
Yeah, so pretty healthy going down. It looks like all the sicknesses are taken care of. D'Anthony Melton had a little something, but it looks like he got rid of that. So you're going to have a full squad, hopefully, for like this 10-game stretch where you're not playing great teams. Really a good time to get yourself up in the standings, to pad that record, to get yourself righted, for Nick Nurse to finally look at Kelly Oubre coming back, finally look at a full squad and say, okay, where am I going here? Where does Kelly Oubre fit in? Do you throw him back into the starting lineup? Or does he come off the bench and maybe take some of the minutes of, say, a Robert Covington or something like that? This is going to be an interesting time. I think this is where Nick Nurse really figures out, okay, here's my 8, 9, 10 guys that I'm going with, and here's how I'm going with them.
I don't want to go back and talk about a game 5 days ago, but sometimes you lose and you say, damn, that was a great coaching job. And Friday night, Nick Nurse and his players, by the way, great performance that his players trying to make it a winning combination, that they were able to play Boston like that toe-to-toe That was pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, they played hard. I mean, you got 26 out of Patrick Beverly. That might have been a career high. I think he's only scored over 20 like 4 times in his whole career. So it was just an oddity where they knew they had to give max performance, max effort in order to try to stick with Boston because they were so shorthanded, and they did that. And
that was
it's good to
incredible.
see.
That was a really, really good game, though. That was a fun game to watch, even though you were missing some of your best talent there. So Bob has a Speak for Yourself coming up, a coordinators edition. And honestly, the coordinators are the number one thing we're talking about this week as we get ready for the Dallas game. Plus, Pat will have Pat's takes, and we have a special announcement coming up at 7:30 for an event that you could potentially be a part of coming up on December the 12th, next Tuesday. It's the John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. I love my water heater, and I know you're thinking to yourself, okay, you're nuts, dude. No, I know. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. Hopefully you're having a great day. We got so much Eagles coverage as we get ready for the Birds and the Boys coming up on Sunday. And Sunday night, which is another one. Can we get a little more day games? I mean, it's just the night games. It's constant, but that's what you get when you're one of the best teams in the NFL, and people love watching you. By the way, the Eagles part of 3 of the highest rated games this year. So people are watching, and I think the Cowboy game will be huge. I think it's going to be an immense number of people will be watching that game.
Yeah, friends in the business say that the highest bidded game is that Eagles-Cowboys game. Everybody wants that Eagles-Cowboys game when it comes to national TV.
Well, say Fox grabs always wants to grab one of them, for the prime time, a primetime matchup, and they try to get it in there, and then wow, this one at night, it's going to be a big one, and everybody be watching. The coordinator spoke yesterday, and honestly, I've been waiting for this because Bob reads the tea leaves very, very well, and honestly, the tea sort of sucks. So here's the coordinators in a special Speak for Yourself.
And now it's time for Bob Cooney's Speak for Yourself. Here's Bob.
Here I am.
Here he
Without
is.
a script, but here I am. So we're just going to have to, talk about how much fun. First of all, I want to state that it was ridiculous yesterday how many times both coordinators, both Brian Johnson and Sean Desai, came out and said, I mean, I understand PR people let them know.
Sure.
Came out and said, I have to put them in better positions. Okay, I understand the whole take of they're not going to tell you everything and all that stuff, but please be a little bit nicer.
Isn't that every week, though?
Yeah.
Isn't it every week the same?
Yeah, it is. And since, I don't know, the one thing that bothers me about sports and when coaches are answering questions is, look, guys, it's sports. It's not like you're conquering the world here or anything like that. It's sports. Yeah, you know what? I called a blitz 11 times the other day, and they threw for 250 yards against it. I shouldn't have been calling 11 blitzes. I probably should have stopped doing that. Just be honest with the people that are the fans that are, living their lives around your games. That's a little more of what we have to do here.
Does he though? I mean, does a coach get credit if they came out and said, "Yeah, I'm not. I made some really bad decisions."
No,
you think that people? I think it would float for a few times.
It's just.
But the thing is, then it buries you potentially later.
It would float. The thing is, just like, look, I'm an adult. You're an adult. Just be honest with me. I understand. Look, I'm not gleaning anything in these press conferences. I don't live and die. Yes, my old job was to get questions answered at these press conferences. But when guys come in with it's almost like coming into a game with a game plan, and the other team has something totally different. You have to adjust.
Absolutely.
Don't come into a press conference and just tell me I got to put him in a better position. I got to put him. Come on.
Don't tell me about the standard every week.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're going to start with Brian Johnson, and we're talking about the offense and what stood out to him in the amount of time that Jalen Hurts had to throw the football and didn't make great reads.
I would assess it that our offensive line did a fantastic job in pass protection all evening against an excellent front. I can't give Lane Johnson enough credit to how he performed in that game on Sunday night, blocking one of the best players in the league in Nick Bosa. It was really a sight to see when you go back and watch that film in terms of how those guys protected all night long. They did an excellent job.
They did. They did do an excellent job. He didn't answer the question at all.
No, he didn't at all.
The question was about Jalen Hurts, and then he went on to the offensive line. The offensive line did do a great job. Why couldn't Jalen Hurts find people open was more the question. He didn't answer that. Maybe he doesn't have the answers to it, and if he doesn't, that's scary also.
By the way, I'm stealing something from NFL Network. You know that for 3 of the 4 quarters, Jalen Hurts had more time to throw the football than Brock Purdy did? I'm just saying.
Purdy got rid of it quick, though.
He is so quick. He's got a quick release, and he's very accurate.
Well, all their patterns were under 10 yards, so it's not like you have to wait a whole lot of time for them to run them because that's what they did all day long, and they did it to perfection. Okay, the 2 drives at the beginning of the game that ended in field goals instead of touchdowns, Brian Johnson was asked about them.
The first one, we get down there and I think we have a 3rd and 7 and, we throw a one-on-one to AJ and 7 makes a great play. Those are plays that happen, so we end up having to settle for the field goal. The second drive, we're 2nd and 5, probably around the 12-yard line or so, 2nd and 5, and they play have a 0 coverage. Red zone defense that we expected. We called a pass play and we end up getting sacked. But, obviously, if you had to do it over again, you'd like to put the guys in the best position possible to go score touchdowns. That's what it's about.
There it is. Best position possible.
Seriously, he had nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, and also I don't like his read on that first play. 7 didn't make a great play on A.J. Brown. It was a throw to a sideline quarter in the end zone, and there was no room. And the ball, it wasn't great coverage. There was nowhere to put the ball. It was a short pattern. It was a short amount of time that the guy had to cover A.J. Brown. And it was, I don't want to say a bad throw, but there was just nothing there.
Nothing.
So I don't know if I wanted to read that into great coverage. But, all right, Sean Desai, we'll go to the defensive side of the ball. And you're talking about giving up a lot of yards, not just in this game, but in a lot of the games leading up to this game.
I think we lean back into what we believe in. We lean back into our techniques, and that's right. Over the last few games, we have given up some yards. We've done a good job of holding some points down and winning in some areas. We got to get better in our 3rd down and red zone defense for sure over the course of that span. And we will. I think the biggest thing is giving guys a clean plan that's really detailed and highly understandable and processable for them so that they feel confident in going out on the field. Our players feel confident going out on the field and executing that plan.
After yesterday, for the first time, it started to hit me. Are these guys overcoaching? Everything's, putting them in position, and it comes from Sirianni. And, I got to call this, and I didn't call that. I don't know. Sometimes players just got to go out there and stop the other team. I hear you with the game plans and all that stuff, but if I'm covering you in a football game, John, and you're a wide receiver and I'm a defensive back, yeah, I think I should know as a professional of the technique I am, whether inside, outside leverage, whatever it might have to do against that player. But my God, is all of this so much? I got to put them in the right position. And I didn't do this and I didn't do that. Are they overcoaching?
It sounds like they're overthinking.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
I just wonder about that.
I like where he says in the soundbite, though, and we will.
Yeah, we will get better.
Okay, well, I've been hearing that all season long.
Yeah.
Let's start delivering on that.
What? Put them in right positions. 12 games?
Start delivering.
Right positions?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. All right, he was then asked, Sean Desai about all the pieces that have been put on this team coming in. Now you're talking about Shaq Leonard. We've seen numerous guys picked up off of the street and thrown into the starting lineup on the defensive side of the ball. Here's what he had to say on that.
Yeah, I think that's always a concern, but that's our job. That's our job as coaches, is to make sure that we have a tight enough plan that's well detailed and thought out, that they feel confident communicating everything that we need to be able to communicate and adjust in a game like that where things are moving. And so we got to do a better job of that. I got to do a better job of that. And so I think that's kind of why we're in this. We got to be able to develop guys and teach them, and regardless of the time that you get with them, the bottom line is the bottom line.
Now here I agree with him. Yeah, when you bring guys in off the street, you sure as hell do have to teach them. You got to get them ready. You got to get them up to snuff as far as, what your language is defensively, because they're not used to it, where your scheme is designed. What do you want from a middle linebacker? Are you forcing plays to the outside, inside? All of those different things. So in that area, yeah, I agree. You have a week of having to coach Shaq Leonard into what you do. Whether that relates to him playing half the snaps, a quarter of the snaps, whether you're comfortable enough or not. We'll find out on Sunday night. But yeah. I would be surprised if Shaq Leonard isn't in there, probably more than we all expect.
That's going to be interesting. I can't wait for that, because they need something. They need something.
Yeah.
They didn't. Boy, that was almost like a say nothing. Speak for yourself.
There was a lot of that yesterday, and it was so blatantly obvious to me. There were times, I'll never forget, like covering the Sixers, you would see a PR guy. It was laughable. But a PR guy who would come walking out with a player or a coach and talking to them and talking so secretive.
Oh, yeah.
Here's what the press is going to ask you, and I don't want you to say this, and you need. And I loved it. Brett Brown would sit there, and he would just look at them and go, yeah, okay, I'm not going to lie. And then would answer our questions. And the PR guy would sit there and bite his nails and start crying and stuff like that. He's no longer here, and people on the inside know of whom I speak.
Wow.
But, yeah, look, it's sports. It's sports.
Seriously.
And yesterday, the coaching up of, I have to put them in better positions. That annoys the crap out of me.
It's terrible answers, and it doesn't say anything. And it very much plays to what I always say with the standard. By week 12, we should know what the standard is, and you should have played to it by now. I'm tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
But hey, 10-2. We'll see what they do against Dallas. So much coming up more on the Dallas Cowboys matchup with your Birds coming up on this Sunday. Okay, I have an announcement for you for what is going to go on December the 12th. And it's a special chance for you to be able to join us in audience. It's almost like a First Friday broadcast. We didn't have a traditional First Friday as we were out at David Auto on Friday, but we will have a First Friday type broadcast by invitation only. So you go to the web and you have a chance to register, but it's not just going to guarantee you a spot. You will have a chance to get into the audience. We will have a lot of special guests coming on this day. It's coming up next Tuesday, and we will be joined in studio by longtime sports radio legend Angelo Cataldi, who obviously worked at a different radio station, but he is promoting his new book, Loud. It is very, very interesting. It is a great read. And honestly, one of the most pivotal figures in creating this format in the city. He will join us live in studio next Tuesday, and we will have opportunities during the 8 o'clock hour and 9 o'clock hour. I'll give away a pair of tickets for you and a guest to be able to join us that day. We'll have breakfast for you. We'll have a live studio audience, and we will have other guests that will be joining us that day. Angelo will be signing his book. You'll have an opportunity to grab a copy if you don't already have one, and he'll be joining in conversation with us. I'm thrilled that he agreed to do it. It is very classy of him, and I look forward to seeing him. And we will have him in next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So if you want to be part of that audience, be listening in the 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock hours, and be listening in the 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock hours tomorrow. Each day, we'll be giving away a pair of tickets to the special event, invitation-only event. But you can also register online at 975thefanatic.com and be a part of it. We'll also have some Eagles coverage, guests, and more. So stay tuned. It should be a big day next Tuesday, and we look forward to having you join us for that. Joe in Newtown joins us. Joe, good morning. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. How are you?
Yes, I'm okay. How are you?
Doing well, buddy.
I just had observation, like how bad the Jets are with Joe Douglas and how well we are doing with the Eagles with Howie Roseman. But the secondary observation is, like, when I lived in Massachusetts, the Patriots, when they lost, it was like you killed their puppy.
Do you feel that here?
I don't feel it here, but we're getting there. So if we lose against Dallas, I think it's going to be like, yes, we're going to have animal cruelty.
Well, Joe, one thing I could tell you, thanks for your call, is that, and Bob, it's one thing that I think always makes me proud about this fan base, is that they went out and lost to San Francisco, and I heard nobody making excuses for the loss. Now, maybe because it was 42-19, it's more difficult to. But nobody was blaming officials or blaming it. It was more, we sucked. We didn't play well. And I think a lot of fan bases do what San Francisco did last year, and they make excuses when they lose. This fan base, they tend to own it, and then they tend to amplify it on their own, which is different than a lot of cities. And I lived in one for 25 years.
We saw it in San Fran. They lost 31-7 in the NFC Championship, and they bitched for 9 months.
We were the better team. We were the better team.
Yeah,
we would have won.
Yeah, you got your ass kicked. How do you handle it? Well, you pick yourself up and you come back and you try to play really good football and play to a winning tune of 10-2. Which that's really, really good. You've won 10 out of the 12 you've played. You have to try to make it 11 out of 13, in spite of what happened. Like I said, I don't flush that game.
Yes.
There's learning lessons, and you do it the right way. Hey, look what happened here. Well, with C.D. Lamb, he's going to do this, so you got to be better. We got to be here or there. So I would interact both of the games. I wouldn't flush that San Fran game because I do think it's a good learning lesson.
Do the good coaches that you played for or you knew or you covered, do you think they would take the same opinion that you have to not flush it?
I bet you it would change with each coach. Everybody's different. That's just what I would do.
Because you covered some really interesting.
Yeah, you won 10 out of 11 games going into this game. we've kind of steered
You have to
clear from
respect that,
saying
though.
the lucky part of it.
Right.
But there has been some breaks, many breaks that have gone the Eagles' way. So maybe in the back of a coach's mind, you say, you know what, this was coming. They needed to see it. They needed to feel it. They needed to get it. So let's make it a teaching point. I don't know if every coach out there, maybe there's many coaches that would flush it, and that's why they're coaches, and I'm sitting behind a microphone at a sports talk radio station. I just wouldn't.
And you're not
I don't
the Knicks
think
coach.
I would.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't-
not
I
coaching
don't-
the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't think I would, though. I wouldn't flush it. I'd make it a learning point more than anything.
I can tell you, thankfully, I coached in the teams I coached. Thankfully, didn't lose a lot because I had really talented players and a good program. But I was tougher on my team in wins than losses. I was sort of eased up on a loss when it did happen and tried to be a little tougher when they won because I think that, just make sure nobody gets too full of themselves.
Yeah, I think but you change it with every type of team.
You surprise them.
Yeah, like I said, with this team in my mind, because you won 10 games in different fashion, maybe not playing your best, you got exploited on Sunday. You can use that to me as such a really good teaching point. You're a really good football team, one of the best in the NFL, the Eagles are. But you're not perfect, and right now you're not the best. So, yeah, I think Sunday's a big learning point.
All right. Jeff McClain yesterday with Andrew Salchunas answered a question about can the Eagles, find a way to finally get another gear? Here's what he answered.
Like, all right, is this a blip? Is this a cause for concern? And then Jason Kelsey said something like, yeah, we still have yet to play our best football. But, I mean, if you're saying that 12 weeks into the season, I think for the most part, you kind of have to know you are what you are. Now, as Bill Parcells famously said, you are what your record says you are. You're 10-2, and you have the best record in the NFL. So that's a good thing, right? Now, the bar has been raised exponentially here in Philadelphia. When you got to the Super Bowl, you got so close to winning it last year. You're looking towards the postseason. Is this team good enough to get by the 49ers in the postseason? Are they good enough to get back to the Super Bowl? Those are fair questions.
I like, I'll tell you this, and Pat, thank you so much for tipping me off to Jeff McClain's podcast.
Oh, it's so good.
Because a lot of times I listen to written word people, and he's fantastic. And I love that answer. 12 games into the season, you can't keep saying we haven't played our best ball yet. Because maybe this is what we just have to expect. They're going to have to try to fight in nickel and diamond way and scrape themselves by. It's just going to be what they had to do. So we will track it all week. It's Birds and the Cowboys. And you guys have a pregame coming up on Sunday, too.
Yeah, we
Special
do.
Pregame.
We do. We're going to, Pat, where are we going to be again? Do you remember? I think we're going to be at Marie's Cozy Corner. Yeah, in Fairless Hills. It's going to be awesome.
Well,
we're going to be there 5 to 8. Well, what?
You can't ask me a question.
You're right.
And then you answer the question on your own.
Marie's Cozy Corner. I like that.
I had a little brain fart, but then it cleared up.
Fairless Hills.
And, so we'll be in Fairless Hills 5 to 8. Me, Pat, and Andrew. Good time. Come on out. Corona's going to be there with us. So it's pregames are always fun, as you witnessed this weekend, John. You
it was absolutely fantastic. We had a great time.
Yeah, so we'll be on the road on Sunday. So come on out, get a couple, get something to eat before you go home and watch the game, or stay there at Marie's Cozy Corner and watch the whole game.
So much coming up on Birds and the Cowboys, but we like to take a little interlude from time to time for a little bit of potential comedy with Pat's takes.
With or without, either way, it's time for Pat's Takes.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Pat.
Thank you for coming. Have a seat.
This is great.
And we'll get into it. Okay. One criticism with every generation, doesn't really matter what generation it is, but when that generation is aged like 14 to 24, the criticism is that they're lazy and they aren't motivated. Well,
really?
One 21-year-old in Hartford, that kid decided to buck the trend. He wasn't about to let his parents tell their friends at the Wegmans that he just sat on the couch all day. He was not only going to get a job, he was going to start a business. 21-year-old, whose name is Weston Soul, started a mushroom business that was really starting to take off. The people of Hartford were flocking to his house to get their hands on those delicious shrooms. But then it all came crashing down when Nancy Nark decided to tip off the cops that there was illegal drugs being grown and sold on the property. The feds and local authorities, they checked it out. Yes, next to the portobellos were the magic mushrooms that had become so popular. Everyone in Hartford was tripping on these things. Now, you may be wondering, why is this really a story? I mean, a stoner growing magic mushrooms in his house. Guy got caught, big whoop. It's a story because little Weston had grown his business to the tune of $8.5 million in product. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, this dude would have had the sharks on Shark Tank just flocking to give him cash. Anyone else that brings an $8.5 million business to Hartford, Connecticut, would get the key to the city. But a 21-year-old, he should be doing TED Talks to businessmen. That's what a 21-year-old who brings an $8.5 million business to your community, that guy deserves a TED Talk. But no. Instead, he's arrested and charged. It's wrong. His parents, though, they still have, bragging rights. Suddenly, Stacy's son Joey getting an internship with Merrill Lynch doesn't seem all that cool when you've got the shroom kingpin of H-Town with 8.5 mil sitting in the dirt.
This has got to be a Netflix show at one point.
Yeah,
This is
let me tell you.
This be a fun one to watch.
If you Google this story,
That's amazing.
This kid, you know how like when they'll arrest somebody and they go, "Oh, I always knew that guy." Yeah, this kid fits that description.
Shaggy,
like
from Scooby-Doo?
Exactly. I mean,
Zoinks.
He looks like he's just dying to put on the Doors' latest album, which came out in like
Blue
the
Light.
70s.
And what's his first name again? Weston?
Weston Soul.
That doesn't sound like a drug kingpin.
Well, it's in Hartford. I feel like
Exactly.
Weston's probably a pretty popular name. All right.
Hello, Weston.
Let's get back to sports. College rivalries are awesome. You've got Alabama, Auburn. You've got Florida, Florida State. You've got Villanova and Drexel.
What?
Villanova and Drexel. Rivalry renewed.
Huh?
But the biggest one of all is North Dakota State and South Dakota.
Oh.
It's legitimately like Eagles Cowboys, but in a state that no one cares about. And it just so happens that North Dakota State and South Dakota are set to do battle in the FCS college football playoffs. And as per usual, both schools will get an allotment of tickets for their fans and boosters. But what South Dakota was unaware of is the fact that a few North Dakota students watched the show Silicon Valley, followed by The Social Network, and capped off by the movie Swordfish. And after the 30-hour and 10-minute binge watch, North Dakota State had a group of elite hackers that would make the NSA blush. Those hackers went to work. They were able to gain access to the South Dakota State boosters' tickets.
No!
They scooped them up for themselves, guaranteeing that the stadium would be nothing but green and yellow. Now, this took many attempts to access the tickets, but eventually they were able to figure out that the password for the tickets was playoffs.
No, it wasn't.
Just playoffs. No characters, no numbers, no uppercase, lowercase, just playoffs.
Well, that's what you get at the lower divisions of football.
Eventually, South Dakota realized their allotment of tickets had been taken like Carson Wentz's pocket awareness, so they were able to cancel those tickets. But before the game's even begun, North Dakota State's already winning this fight.
Absolutely. They should team up with the kid from Hartford.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if a technology kingpin mixed with the drug kingpin?
Oh, look out. Yeah.
It's the next episode of Ozark.
In two states that don't really do much for the country. Yeah, awesome. Did I say that out loud?
You did.
Today in history, not much happened. 1960, the California Angels became an MLB franchise. They're looking for pitching.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's rough sledding out there. And then in 1961, Ernie Davis from Syracuse became the first African American to win the Heisman Trophy. They made a movie about it called The Express. Very good. If you haven't seen it,
I have not seen that.
That's all it takes. Yeah, it's really, really good. It's
documentary.
Chadwick Boseman's in it for like a hot second.
Documentary or sports headline?
No, sports movie.
Okay, look at sport, but like you got to look at it under sports.
Yeah, Dennis
Find that one.
Quaid plays
really?
the coach, the head coach of Syracuse. And as I said, Chadwick Boseman's in it for like a hot second. But it's very, very good. Very informative.
Quaid's still married to Betsy Montgomery, to
I don't know,
whatever, the little cute little blonde from When Harry Met Sally. Meg Ryan.
Shirley Temple?
Meg Ryan. Shirley Temple. That would be pedophilia, wouldn't it?
No,
she'd
she's dead.
be older.
She's like
No, she's dead.
Exactly. She's dead. She was an ambassador, I think.
It'd be necrophilia.
That's terrible. That's really bad. We have a great opportunity to talk with Adam Schefter every week. That's coming up at the top of the hour. And Pat says something really interesting was on Adam's podcast. We'll talk about that. We'll talk to Adam at the top of the hour. Find out everything we need to know about the birds and the boys. John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. Look, I'm going to give the gift of glow on my gift list this year, thanks to Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa. Do you realize there are 60 Philadelphia area Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa locations? That's pretty awesome. And what you're going to love is the gift and how appreciated it is by the lady in your life, or maybe by a friend who needs a good massage or a facial, which everybody should have right now. Check out the
to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
The first giveaway of tickets to the 12-12 show with Angelo Cataldi joining us in studio will occur in the 8 o'clock hour on our YouTube channel. So Haley's going to help coordinate this, but someone in our YouTube audience during the 8 o'clock hour is going to get the first pair of tickets to be in the guest in the audience. So if you want to get in on the YouTube channel before the 8 o'clock hour begins. You never know when we're going to do it. Adam Schefter is joining us coming up. I wonder where Adam's energy is on the Eagles right now, because it seems like the national media, Bob, has certainly gone negative.
Oh, goddamn.
Really gone negative. It's where it seems like the Eagles went from being one of the teams that, well, the popular talking point was for 2 months was they're not as good as they think they are. And then finally they get a loss, and it was like tossing meat to the wolves.
Yeah, I saw
terrible.
Delegitimize is their win maybe last year over San Fran, or that of them being a really good football team this year.
It's ridiculous. Stephen A. went with that.
Followers know that you can't win 10 of 11, 10 of now 12 football games in the NFL without being very good.
No.
You just can't.
You can't.
You can't. So
they've beaten the two best teams in the AFC.
This game is huge. It's a huge bounce back game. It's the first time that in season you've had some discrepancy about who you may be, and how they answer this on Sunday is probably going to tell you more about who they are as a team than that San Francisco game may have.
It gets to define the narrative. I mean, they get to write their own story. If they go out and take care of the Cowboys, the NFC East is over. And they'll be in great position where they will have to win at Seattle, and then the two giant games in the Arizona game, and they'll have the number 1 seed. The whole mood of the city can change. But I think I've been proud of the fan base, because I think the fan base has been critical, but I don't think it's been overly negative. Like yesterday, we had some nonsense people on social media being like, it's not the end of the world. Nobody's acting like it's the end of the world. But lose to Dallas in embarrassing fashion. And I'll tell you, I'll be right there with those who are more alarmist. You got to have a strong showing on Sunday night. And I'm not even saying you have to win. I want them to win. I believe they have a great chance to win. But if it's 35-31, if it's a great game back and forth and, a knockout, from two really good teams, we won one here. I wouldn't be shocked if they won one there. The Eagles rarely ever sweep the Cowboys. So it's not something I go in going, yeah, I expect that to happen. It doesn't happen often.
So you're not confident they're going to go in and win this week?
No, I'm confident that they're going to play a very good game, though.
And that's good enough for you?
No, I said, but I'm not going to be alarmed if they lose a tight game at Dallas. It's sort of what I expect, because that's what they do every year. They win one, they lose one.
Yeah.
They don't sweep. They haven't swept the Cowboys since 2011, I guess, was the number yesterday or something like that.
I think that's the year that you threw out there.
That's not good. That's not good.
No, and the implications of a loss, that you've brought up, it opens for
the door.
While. It does. It just makes this season a whole lot different should you lose this game on Sunday. What does it do on Sunday if you lose? Well, it makes Seattle must win.
Yes.
It probably makes the rest of your season must win.
It is, yeah.
It is. The affordability of resting starters and people probably goes out the window. So, yeah, you have to get a good effort this weekend. I agree with you.
Barrett Brooks has done a great job with NBC Sports Philadelphia. I think he just gets better and better with being able to just really break things down and make them simple. And Barrett talked about the fact of something the Eagles have to do to be able to win games, and it seems so obvious.
Calling run plays is a force of wills. You got to will yourself to go out there, call run plays, and run the ball. That's all you have to do. You're not going to get 5 yards every pop. You keep running the ball. You just got to make concerted effort. There's no such thing as a bad 3-yard run play. That's great. You run that 2 or 3 times, of course you're going to break it. All you need is one guy not getting to his gap. It makes defenses be disciplined on where they're supposed to be at. And by the way, that opens up the passing game because then you can run play action. What is play action? It's not always about you trying to fool them to run the ball. It's more so because you get more blockers in and you can let your receivers go down the field because you have a tight end in, you got a running back in, and it gives you more blockers to help shore up the offensive line, and then you can push the ball down the field.
I like Barrett's philosophy there because I think it's something that is lost in modern-day football. Is the idea of you run and a 3-yard gain is not a negative. And you got to stick with it. You can't just say, well, we tried it. We got 2 yards. We got 3 yards. Because when you break it, that's when you make the big impact.
You kind of look at coaches to be more patient than their players, right?
Okay,
To be the guys that are the calming influence. They see things differently than a player. A player's going 1,000 miles an hour all the time. They have to in order to preserve their body and in order to play the game the way it needs to be played. When you see a coordinator or a head coach that just totally abandons a run because you're down by 7, 10 points, that's scary. That takes you to a spot of, man, what don't they have patience enough to do this? And DeAndre Swift is that guy. He's the guy that can break you a 16, 20, 25-yard run. Why you're not looking for that more? Yeah, I agree with Barrett on this point.
Really, really good stuff from Barrett yesterday on the best show ever. So you can check out Andrew and the best show ever in the course of the day today as we get you ready for Beat Dallas Week. Comcast Business Hotline is where our guests join us. And I want to thank our friends at Landis Block and Concrete because they do a really, really good job out in Souderton, Pennsylvania. Jared Nice and his entire team out there. Create your own jaw-dropping backyard paradise. And by the way, this is the perfect time to start planning it. To start thinking about what you want in your backyard and how you're going to get it. And Landis Block can get you there. And they bring us Adam Schefter every single Wednesday, so it's going to be good to talk to Adam. I wonder what the pulse, because Adam talks to everybody. And I wonder when he talks to people from different markets, I'm sure they discuss what's going on in the league. And I wonder right now how people are looking at the Eagles. And the idea that guys like David Carr or otherwise would attempt to either besmirch Jalen Hurts as being like not worthy of being the starting quarterback right now. And the idea that they would talk about the Eagles being like frauds to me is just hilarious. As the NFC champions, no NFC champion gets like disgraced like that. And to me, I think it's clickbait. I think it's today. They know the Eagles fan base is very vocal. They know it's going to create great discussion. And so I think they look for it. I think it's their low-hanging fruit right now.
I don't think what Carr said at all will create any kind of discussion.
Except outrage of just he's a dope.
Yeah,
he's a dope.
That's stupid. Move on. I really don't think Eagles fans, they're too smart for that. They're not going to sit there and debate whether he's right or wrong.
Oh, no.
No, it's going to be that was an asinine statement. Move on.
And it's a shame that that sort of seems to be the go-to right now for a lot of guys. And even in the NFL, which surprises me, that people would be doing that. That you'd go for like low-hanging fruit like that. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's a top story of the weekend. The team that was labeled the best, the quarterback that was by some markets considered the MVP, they failed miserably. So, yeah, that's got to be one of your top talking points.
But
how
to
you
go over the top,
it,
exactly.
Yeah, how you go about it is a different avenue, and the one that he traveled, I just don't understand.
Adam Schefter is going to join us now on that Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day, and Comcast Business gets you ready for what's next. Can you imagine what sports talk radio has been like this week, Adam, after that loss on Sunday? And we're wondering the pulse around the NFL as far as what they think about the Eagles' loss on Sunday and how important it was.
Well, it shakes up the monotony of having to talk about them winning every single week.
Correct.
We know that.
Yes.
And so it's something different for the station and something different for fans. And look, I think that this is a team, the Eagles, as great as they've been this year, and they've been great. They've been teetering and flirting with this. We talked about this last week. There's only so many times you can do this before eventually it's going to bite you. And it bit them last week. And they got beaten badly. Now, let me say this also. And we talked about this on ESPN Sunday NFL Countdown on Sunday. I pointed it out. Rex Ryan harped on it. That was the Eagles, not to make an excuse, but it was the Eagles' third game in 13 days, whereas the Niners were coming off a 10-day rest. Not only that, but in the 3 games in 13 days, the Eagles played a late afternoon overtime game against Buffalo in which their defense was on the field for 97 snaps. 97. So it was almost like they played 3.5, 4 games in 13 days, and it looked like it on Sunday. They looked like a tired football team to me. And now the problem is they get something of a similar scenario because now, after another tough, physical, long game against the 49ers, now you got to go on the road to Dallas to play a team that has 10 days rest again. So the NFL schedule maker didn't do them any favors here, and they didn't do themselves any favors by the way they played. So it goes both ways. I don't take this as a blanket statement that, boy, the Niners are superior to them, that they're in trouble for the playoffs. No. There's business at hand. They have to take care of the home field advantage. I think because of the circumstances that I just laid out to you, that Sunday night's going to be a difficult game to win. That's how I feel. Okay? Doesn't mean they won't win, but I just think it's going to be a tough game. And so if they lose that game, they're now tied for the division, and here's where it gets, I think, a little interesting. They have a Monday night game in Seattle, which, again, Mr. Schedule Maker, not happy about. Not happy about. Because now we get a short week to get ready for the Giants on Christmas Day. But the good part is if you look at the way their schedule finishes out, there's 3 highly winnable games that I don't care how tired they are, I don't care how worn down they are, they should be winning. So when all is said and done, despite the struggles that they had last week, despite any struggles they could have on Sunday night, they're still in excellent position to turn it around, get it together, and get the number 1 seed. And let me just say this last thing before you go on in my extended little diatribe here. This is a team that when it went to the Super Bowl the first time with T.O., there was the injury that he had, and the team had to rally and figure out a way to overcome that. And then the next time they went to the Super Bowl, there was the Carson Wentz torn ACL, and they had to overcome that. So here we are. Every team has forms of adversity that they're going to face during the course of a season. Here is that moment for the Eagles. The 49ers had that stretch where they lost
3 in a row.
Straight games. People were writing them off, and they're asking Kyle Shanahan at the press conference, and I remember this very well because I was reading the transcripts and laughing. Are you considering benching Brock Purdy? Are you considering benching Brock Purdy? No, we're not. Okay, good. Well, now Brock Purdy's being mentioned as an MVP candidate. I mean, people get so carried away on these things. So this is the Eagles' moment of strife during the regular season, and they're going to get beat up some here. And it's up to them to see how they respond and come out of this. And we'll start to see Sunday night and the next week before the favorable schedule hits down the stretch with them still being in position to get the number 1 seed.
Schefter, talk to us. You covered a lot on the Eagles there, so I'll go to the opponent for this coming week, the Dallas Cowboys. Talk to us about what kind of football they are playing right now. They've won 14 in a row at home. Dak Prescott, as we know, it sounds odd, but he's being mentioned in that MVP candidate type of thing. What makes them the good team that they are so much this year?
They're rolling right now. This is the best I think that Dak Prescott has ever played. CeeDee Lamb, best he's ever played. The offense is humming. They're getting leads on people. When they're getting leads on people, they can unleash the pass rush. They're playing with confidence that they haven't had. They're just playing at a higher level than they've played at. And I think they feel like they could have and should have beaten the Eagles in Philly. And now they get them at their place on a Sunday night with 10 days rest, with them playing even better. So that's how it lays out from the Dallas Cowboys standpoint. I'm sure they're fired up about this matchup. And it was funny because I had your former cornerback Al Harris on my podcast this week. Thought it'd be good to talk to him, having played in Philadelphia, coached in Dallas. I said, what's this week going to be like? And he told me, that in certain weeks like this, where there is an especially intense rivalry, Mike McCarthy will put together a video highlight package, and he'll put out all the highlights of the rivalry of those two particular franchises. So, in other words, some point this weekend, Cowboys are going to see some video of Roger Staubach and Reggie White and Harold Carmichael and Wilbert Montgomery and Tony Dorsett in great Eagles-Cowboys games of yesteryear. And he was saying that it gets everybody all fired up to see these videos, and there's going to be a great one put together for this game. So we'll see.
Sirianni's video on the Saturday night didn't work out, showing all the things that San Francisco had to say to them about them during the past year. Nick Sirianni every week tells us every week's the same. Every game matters just as much. There's not one game that matters more than another. So I want to ask you something. Is it better to lose 3 straight games like San Francisco did to inferior opponents? Or is it better to lose like a couple games? Like if you ended up losing to San Francisco and Dallas, is it better to lose to good teams? Because, San Francisco lost to 3 inferior opponents in their losing streak.
But when they lost, it's interesting because I don't think there's a good time to lose ever. Period.
Okay.
You don't ever want to lose.
Sure.
Okay, that's number one. But in terms of San Francisco, they were without Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel. And, again, the best teams overcome injuries.
Yeah, the Eagles won without Lane Johnson.
Exactly.
I'm tired of hearing that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But my point to you is last week, I happened to be on the phone with, some 49ers people. And I remember on Monday night, I had an especially long conversation with somebody, and they were telling me about the upcoming game against the Eagles. And the guy was saying to me that, he goes, you know who we have to have on this team playing? And I said, who's that? I said, Trent Williams, right? And he goes, yeah, no, Trent's important, but, we can play without him if we have to. We don't want to, but we can if we have to. Deebo Samuel, different deal. Because now they have to worry about Deebo, and they can't isolate Christian McCaffrey. And if they isolate Christian, then Deebo's free. And he went on this whole thing about how valuable Deebo is and what he brings to the offense. Not to mention, I think the certain swagger that he carries. Like that, Deebo's, I know Philly doesn't like him right now, but Deebo's a cool dude, man.
He's an incredible player. So.
Yeah, the way he dances onto the field, I love that. The boom box and everything like that. It's fantastic. And he was just telling me how important Deebo is, and then sure enough, lo and behold, his words were prophetic on Sunday afternoon. And so I don't think there's a good time to ever lose. You can explain circumstances. Like I'm giving you, in my mind, a reason that I think contributed to the Eagles losing on Sunday. Another reason as to why they could lose Sunday night, which is, again, they've hit an especially tough part of the schedule during a long, hard, grueling season. And I'm not trying to make excuses for them. I'm just talking about the fact that the margin of error in this league, the difference between a team winning and losing, it's pretty close. And the Eagles are better than most every team they're going to face. But when there's another factor that helps bring the teams that much closer together, well, the chances of them winning drop a little bit more. And so every single little thing like that matters in the NFL. And so they're in a particularly challenging part of the schedule. They were not up to the challenge last Sunday, and we'll find out if they're up to the challenge this Sunday.
Shefty, the coordinators here have been taking quite a beating since Sunday. And if we look at the offensive side of the ball, there was talk before the week about Frank Reich maybe coming in here or people wanting him to come in here. Have you heard anything on that front on him maybe coming to Philadelphia?
I haven't. No, I have not heard that. That's not to say it can't happen just because I haven't heard something.
Sure.
But my guess is I think Frank Reich was kind of beat up, and I'd be surprised personally if he came back and coached this season again. I think when you go through something like he just did, I think you don't want back into the frying pan right now.
Totally agree with you.
But yeah.
Yeah, but with the Nick Sirianni relationship, I think a lot of people just assumed that the guy's going to come in here with a cape on and help this offense look a little more smooth. So it's good. So you As we move along here, though, there is one point for you too. Is Dallas is going to need the Eagles to lose one more game, even if they win on Sunday.
Right.
So I mean,
Right.
it's not like there's a 5-alarm fire because the Eagles will still be able to take care of business, but the schedule makers did them no favor.
And Dallas' schedule down the stretch is certainly more challenging
At
than
Bills,
Philadelphia's.
at Dolphins, that's tough right there, and the Lions.
Right. So what are the chances, as well as they're playing, that the Cowboys are going to win all three of those games? You tell me.
Plus, we know they need the Heimlich usually sometime in December, almost every year. So I said it, you didn't. So it's good. Thanks,
That's
Adam.
history, but
yes.
If this Dallas team is as good as it fashions itself to be, then it doesn't matter. Like, you find ways to beat anybody,
Sure.
anywhere, at any time.
I'll just continue to doubt them.
And by the way, over the last 25 years, you would have been proven right every single time.
28, but that's who's counting, right?
28.
Who's counting, right?
There you go.
If a kid's 36 years old, 35, 36, they've never seen the Cowboys do anything of significance. I just like to remember that. It's tough. Have a great one, Adam.
The kids that grew up in Boston have a superiority complex over the kids they.
Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. Thanks, Adam. We appreciate you, buddy. Have a great week.
Thanks, Schefter.
Thank you. You too.
Adam Schefter joined us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Thanks to Landis Block and Concrete. Be thinking about next spring and summer, and think about creating your own jaw-dropping backyard paradise. Check them out at landisbc.com. Tell Jared and his entire team that I said hello. They're great, great people. So, do you feel better or worse about the Eagles' chances after hearing from Adam?
Same.
I'm sort of the same.
Yeah.
Pat, where do you fall on it?
A little bit better, but not great for this week.
Yeah,
I feel better about last week's loss and not great about this week's game. It made me feel worse about Sunday.
I think that's the thing, is that it makes you feel a little worse about Sunday, but it absolutely makes you feel a little bit better about last week's. By the way, only this is a good one from ESPN Stats and Information. 3 games in the 3 games in the 13 days or whatever it was that the Eagles played. It was the toughest schedule that anybody in the NFL will deal with, and including strength of schedule of opponents during that time.
Yeah.
So they didn't do anything. And then there is one thing though, and you corrected that Adam was talking about. You're not on a short week for the Christmas game because Christmas is Monday. So you play Monday night in Seattle, and then you play the following Monday night at home against the Giants. So it's not another short week, because you have people losing their minds about, well, how could they just keep giving them short weeks? They didn't give them a short week on that one. Christmas is going to be a different one. So we have a lot coming up on the Eagles and the Cowboys, and we want you to be a part of it and get in on some of the discussion. Bob has a question, though, about what you expected and what's happened with this Eagles season. We'll get to it next. John Kincade Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The best Christmas gift for your special someone, trust me, get her Pajamagram's famous naturally nude pajamas. It will make you a holiday hero. the Fanatic. Cousin Matt wanted Pat to know that St. Joe's football's undefeated.
So's Newman's, bud. I mean,
isn't it the soccer team in Newman?
How about we zip up our flies and stop this pissing contest?
Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman.
Bragging about undefeated football teams that don't exist.
Big test tonight for the Temple basketball team going against Division III Bloomsburg.
Yeah, it's a tough one there.
I'm going to take the Owls. If we're just if we're being frank, I'm going to take the Owls.
It's
Are you
kind of
Frank
weird.
or Pat?
Horrible joke.
Okay, I just don't.
It's not it.
If you're being frank, who you being? These games. Every program plays them though. These kind of games.
Yeah, I mean,
they're money raising. What are you saying,
Bobby?
You don't think Duke plays these games?
Villanova played Drexel.
Duke plays terrible games. Yeah, they lost to them too.
That's pretty funny.
And Villanova, by the way, the first team to finish 6th in the Big Five. I just think it's interesting.
Do you guys notice that? John, you were at the game, so you wouldn't have. But during the broadcast on Sunday's game, they were hyping up. All right, number 18 ranked Villanova versus Kansas State, this Tuesday night. And me and my buddy just chuckled and go, yeah. Make sure to mention that number 18 ranking because when the polls come out tomorrow morning, it's going to be
There.
different. Sure.
Yeah, it was like
tough
I told
loss,
you.
Though.
We had a family, a guy who graduated from Villanova with his wife and kids sitting in front of us at the Big Five Classic the other day, and the guy was just so beat down that they lost that game. He waited like a half hour before he turned around and just started talking again. He was just so distraught. That's tough. And then last night they had a game in Kansas State.
Tough game. They played well though. They were in the game.
They were in the game.
That's
they
a tough place
okay.
to. You lose by a point, I think, or two.
Yeah, in overtime. But they have a possession, the last possession of regulation, and Brendan and I were talking about it. Villanova dribbled out the clock for like 20-plus seconds and wound up taking a bad shot. It just that probably isn't sitting well with the alumni today either.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some stress with that. Look, it's been a stressful time because you got people questioning a 10-2 football team. But I think saying we're 10-2 is ridiculous after what you saw Sunday. But I really do wonder what's going to be the counter move because I fully expect we are going to see an Eagles game 5 minutes to go that is hanging in the balance on Sunday night. I do not believe we are going to see a repeat of Sunday that where the team looks non-competitive. I'm very confident we're getting that type of game. But, Bob, you asked me earlier, and I'm getting some grief from some people on social media. Come on, make your call. No, I'm not making my call on Wednesday. Don't usually do that unless I feel really, really you felt that way with Miami. I did. Because I think that Miami's not as good as the Cowboys are. I don't think they're as good. I just think that's coming in here, Miami coming in here, I was very, very confident that the Eagles would get the job done. I'm going to wait, but I'm not bailing. But I am questioning.
Yeah, I think many are questioning, and rightfully
it's okay
so.
to question.
Yeah, you're talking about a 42-19 loss. I do still think the headline is 10-2. I do. I think every topic that comes up comes under that umbrella of this team is 10-2. The way they lost that game, it was absolutely horrible. Did it exploit things that are bad and were maybe masked earlier in the season with wins? Perhaps. Yeah. And if that is the case, we'll probably find out more of that on Sunday night.
Now, that's what it is that you don't want to put too much pressure on one game, but it most certainly feels that way, like this is a referendum type of game. That you've got almost like if you go out and play poorly, I think it could be a referendum on what they are for the rest of the year.
Maybe.
Play poorly. Not if you go and play an Eagles game where it's a tight game to the very end, and you asked me earlier, would you be okay with that? I honestly would. If they play a pretty clean game and it's up and down, scoring back and forth. I expect splits when it comes with the Cowboys because that's what we've come to know for forever. So to me, I don't.
It's hard in a 17-game season not to have peaks and valleys.
Yes.
And the really good teams, they limit their valleys. And in their valleys, they'll still sometimes win games. We saw it with the Eagles last year. You had like a 4-game stretch where they didn't play great football, but they wound up winning 3 of those 4 games because they were just that much better than the opponent. This year, the schedule is a hell of a lot harder. Maybe they're hitting a little bit of a valley now, and maybe they were starting to hit it against Kansas City because, we weren't totally satisfied with the way they played there, but they're winning games against good teams, Buffalo, Kansas City. So it's kind of
Miami.
masked. Yeah, it's masked
Right.
that there could be some, bigger problems than we want to believe.
I mean, you've already beaten Miami. You've already beaten Kansas City. You've already beaten Dallas. So you've beaten 3 of what are perceived as like the top 6 or 7 teams in football. So it's not like it's been an absolute disaster. Bob wants to talk about, though, what we expected as we went into this Eagles season.
Now, let's see what's in Cooney's corner.
Yeah, have the Eagles at 10-2. Now, maybe before the year you looked at the schedule, and after 12 games you had them at 9-3. So you might say, well, they've exceeded my expectations, really, because they've won one more game than I thought. They went into Kansas City and won in a game that I never thought they would win. They've gone through this really tough stretch and only lost one game. But has this team reached your expectations so far this year? And I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. It's an honest question. Has this team reached your expectations so far this year?
1-loss record. It's weird. Like, at this point, I would have thought that maybe the 1-loss record might have been worse. But as far as their performance, and I look at performance, no, they have not. They've played much more shaky and much less attractive as far as the way that they, play the game than they played last year. So, no, they have not.
Pat, have they reached your expectations? And I have another question off of this, too.
No, it's pretty much carbon copy of what John said. Win-loss record, yeah. But the way that it's transpired, the way that those games have gone, no. I think if you just look at win-loss, it's like, yeah, this is probably what we expected. But what I didn't expect was it to be this difficult, anxiety-ridden. No, I didn't expect that.
I wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, that's what it's weird is. That's what I'm asking myself, right? You just read my mind. Because maybe battle-tested, like people say, well, you want to be battle-tested and everything. But last year, they weren't battle-tested, and they went toe-to-toe with the Super Bowl champs, 38th. I mean, it was tied 4 minutes to go in a game. Yeah. They played great that day, and Jalen played exceptionally well. I'm waiting for Jalen to play a glimmer of what I saw last year, and for the most part, I've never seen him play a complete game this year.
All right, so that it might be the answer to the question I was going to ask next, or maybe it's not. But what is the biggest thing that hasn't happened this season with the Eagles that you expected to happen? What's the biggest thing that you expected that hasn't? And part 2 of the question, can it?
I thought the Eagles were going to be the best offense in the NFL. Can it? No, it can't. Unless you get some garbage points against the Giants. And I still don't think they can make it up. No, they've dropped down, and they're descending. And they're descending in every statistical category league-wide. Now, it's a tough stretch. So that happens. You play the crappy teams, your numbers go up like every team does. But, again, I'm not overly concerned, but a bad effort on Sunday would leave me overly concerned because this offense just doesn't look right to me.
Why? Why hasn't it, do you think?
I think it's play design and play calling. And I really do. I put it more on that than anything. They just don't look like a team that is – I don't think they look like an offense that is – they look like an offense that's surviving on their talent. Their talent is getting them by. And I believe last year it was talent and coaching. I think it was different.
All right, Pat, what about you? What is the biggest thing that hasn't happened this season with the Eagles that you expected, and can it?
So mine would be I thought Marcus Mariota was going to get some run. And it was going to be because they were up large like they were last season. And that he would get in with 5 minutes to go in a game that was a complete blowout. And you'd be able to rest the majority of your starters and build up some depth pieces. Guys like Eli Ricks, guys like Josh Jobe would be getting some key run late in a game that they had already locked up. It hasn't happened. Can it happen? Yeah, it can happen. But it's more likely to happen last 3 weeks of the season because they're just playing inferior opponents. So I that's the one surprising thing to me because you had a couple of games on the schedule there that you went, okay, yeah, this should be a Lego game, and it wasn't.
We haven't had any Legos.
Nope.
Pat, that's a great answer.
Legos are dusty.
I expected I expected at least 5 or 6 Lego games on this schedule, and we just haven't been having them.
No,
it's disappointing. What about you? What were yours?
The biggest expectations about this team that
they
I
haven't met.
seen yet. That's a good one. That's why I wrote the question, because I was kind of struggling to
You're
come up
stumping
with
yourself.
an answer.
Yeah, I mean-
and that's why that's how I work. Like that's my mindset. When I don't have an answer to something, I want to learn from others about what your answers are. My biggest expectation was probably a better season from Jalen Hurts, which might not have been reasonable. But I said it before the season started, even if he wasn't among MVP candidates being discussed, I thought his numbers this year would be better than last.
It's fair.
And that's only improving on 22 touchdowns. That's only improving on 3,700 passing yards. So I thought those things would be a lot better. So I guess it goes towards your answer, John. I thought the offense would be more dominant than it has been.
You realize, too, from the Eagles' defense, too, another issue? The Eagles are giving up 24 points a game. The Giants are giving up 24.3. I mean, the Eagles' defense is playing like the Giants' defense. I mean, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, that's the only saving grace kind of about the Giants so far is kind of, well, their offense sucks. Nah, their defense sucks. They just suck all around.
How about there's no team... no, I think Seattle is in the 7th seed right now. Let me just check just to make sure before I say it. No, Seattle's out of the playoffs. There is no team in playoff position with a inferior defense to the Eagles in points per game allowed.
Hey, somebody's got to be at the bottom.
14 teams are currently in playoff position, and the Eagles' defense is the bottom, 14 of 14 in points per game allowed. Now, that can change drastically when you play Arizona, Giants. You know, that number can shift because 2 points a game can move you 10 slots. But it's just something to look at. That's not where you were last year, and it's not where you should be. I don't think it's where you should be at all with this team.
It's funny. None of us went to the defense about expectations.
Because I was shaky with the defense with the changes and with the young players.
Well, when it came to certainties, you figured that the guy that was in the building,
right?
That guy, that's a certainty. Sean Desai coming in from Seattle, I don't know what to expect there.
Yeah.
You know, he had a cup of coffee with the Bears there as their DC, but wasn't great. He didn't have talent, so we didn't know anything about Sean Desai coming in, which because of that, I couldn't really give you a positive. Like, yeah, I thought Hassan Reddick was going to have a good season. You know what I mean? Like, I thought Josh Sweat would be good, and
they both have been.
They've been great. But like in terms of the actual defensive scheme and stuff, I didn't know anything about it. Brian Johnson, you kind of had an idea, or you thought you had an idea of what it would be because he was here last year. And we weren't right on that.
No, I mean, we got. I'm hoping we didn't get sold a bill of goods because I do believe that it's been very, very disappointing.
All right, if you're going into Sunday's game at Dallas, where they've won 14 in a row, Schefter said, a guy who covers the football nationally, Schefter said they are on a roll, meaning the Cowboys. I'm not talking X's and O's or anything that big, but what's your mindset going in of how you're going to win this football game? Just like a quick, all right, because here, I'll give you mine right away. I think you have to slow the game down a little bit. And that sounds weird with an explosive offense that you have. But with your defense really struggling, I want to try to keep them off the field as much as I can. So I'm going to say your best defense on Sunday might be to hold on to the football.
By the way, that's how you won one of the things you did. And I was harping on it before the Chiefs game. Limit the possessions for Patrick Mahomes. They did that, and they came away with a win. I love that strategy, Bob. I think that's great. I think the big key is that you've got. I want to see 60-40 pass run, and I want to see a dedication to it. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, not final numbers. I want to see it each quarter where they stay balanced and they run clock and they have a balanced attack. I'm not optimistic that will be the plan. Pat?
I'm not.
What's it?
I mean, after talking to Schefter, I'm not really optimistic either.
Don't let him.
He
has. He does though.
He's got a little shack in my head right now, and he's just posted up because look. I mean, we all know the Eagles struggle in Dallas games. Whether
they tend to play pretty well in them.
Like, what I mean by struggling is it's never, all right, like, we're good. You know, it's going to be anxiety-ridden, and you're going to Dallas, and that's a struggle in and of itself, and you got to travel, all of that, right? And the fact that Schefter brought up, they're once again facing an opponent that had 10 days rest.
It's scary.
It's not great.
All right, we got to get Bob's answer to this, though. Bob, you got to finish the lunch order. I gave an order for an item in the 6 o'clock hour. Pat gave an item in the 7 o'clock hour. So you have to complete the lunch order. What are you adding to the lunch order that somebody will need to know in the 9 o'clock hour to win a $50 gift card from Wawa?
I always love grabbing this because it's always so good, made fresh in the morning, but it's sitting there right in the center little circle there. I like the pre-made chicken Caesar salad.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. And if you want to go on a little side, what you do is you go and you get a little bag of peanuts, and you put peanuts in your Caesar chicken salad. Oh, my God. Delightful.
I have never done that.
You've never had peanuts in a salad?
I've had peanuts in my mom made a salad that had peanuts in it, but it wasn't Caesar. Like, I love a Caesar salad.
Yeah.
Caesar salad is
pre-made
fantastic.
chicken Caesar salad. I'm so into salads right now.
Tell me about Wawa's crouton game.
Oh, strong.
Okay, good.
And you know they make it fresh because if a crouton sits for long, it gets a little soggy.
I
Can't
agree.
have soggy croutons.
No, you cannot.
Their croutons are hard and crunchy.
Okay, well then, if their crouton game's good, because that's essential.
Gotta have a good crouton game.
Yeah, you got to have that. So
yeah,
we like that. Wawa, by the way, is you covered with gift cards for everyone on your shopping list. You can get happy holidays when you shop at Wawa. By the way, you're looking to get someone an Amazon gift card or like big box stores, things like that. They got them at Wawa. So you can go in, get that done. You're going into Wawa anyway, so why wouldn't you take advantage of it? I think it would be something very, very good.
So we had something weird happen on an order the other day.
What?
Oh, wait. I shouldn't say. Where are my kids right now? I don't care.
Are they listening?
I don't care.
That's all right.
You know what? No, I won't do it. Because
Well, you're not going to tell it now?
No, because I'll get a text, and I really don't feel like getting it. So, yeah.
Now,
I'll keep it to myself.
Now, who
Let's
would be
just say we
texting you?
ordered something, and the order came. You know how clothing? All right, I can do it this way.
Okay.
You know how clothing pieces will have certain security tags on them?
Yes.
We got one sent to us with one on it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I've seen this happen when we were traveling with Sixers. A lot of times the players would forget to bring a sport jacket, which they had to wear if they were, not playing on the bench.
Okay.
So there would be times where guys would be like, I got to go out and get a jacket. It happened more times than not more times than not. It happened a couple of times a year where guys would run out and get sports jackets real quick, and the tag wouldn't be taken off. So in the locker room, guys would be trying to take them off, and they have that ink that comes out of them. I don't know if you know this, but yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it has an ink that comes out, so it ruins the clothing for you. Somebody tries to steal, whatever. But yeah, so we had that happen to us at a piece of security thing. So now I got to go today and take it and get it taken off and all that. So
That's
it
a pain.
inconvenienced me.
See, the Amazon guy, if he doesn't come to my house, I actually call and check and do a wellness check. Because I swear, my wife has something every single day that's coming to the house.
Oh,
there's a package. There is packages coming, and I'm like, well, what did you need? What did you need to get yesterday? And there'd be something.
I'm not gonna.
Well, we needed this.
My wife does all the shopping for the kids and does everybody, and she does such a great job. As a matter of fact, she hurt her shoulder last night.
What happened?
Patting herself on the back, saying what a great job she's done so far.
Well, she
this
does
year
a
for
great
Christmas.
job, though. I mean, so we have to make sure that
we don't talk about Donna like that. All right.
We're gonna have
Watch
Donna's
your tongue.
back on this, Pat. So,
I have her back. She's phenomenal. She's got a husband that doesn't do jack crap. So
well, that's the truth. We all knew that.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I
I'm
don't
a lucky
want.
man, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't shop
I don't
till Christmas Eve.
I think that's fantastic that you don't have to shop too, because I don't. I absolutely do not like shop. I do not enjoy
But
going.
you do it, right? Because
I do
you
it.
said you get it
I
done
do
and
it, but
you're all wrapped up and everything.
Oh, I'm almost completely done. I'm almost completely done. It's not.
So am I, because I don't do anything.
It's like that's the whole idea. You don't have fun. Like, you don't have fun shopping though at all.
I hate shopping.
So it doesn't do well for you. You're just
I
not.
can't stand it.
There's
We
no
went to-
competition in it. The only shopping he likes is guys' grocery games.
Well, what about this? He brings Glenn, Rock, and the whole gang. They go to lunch, and then they all go to the store together, and they have a competition on who can get the best presents. Something like that.
Hey,
If
I'm
you
with
make it
you,
a competition, Bob would be all in. You'd be all in.
No, not that one. Like last night, we went to a store to take something back, and Donna said, "Why don't you go grab yourself a pair of jeans?"
Oh no.
And I was like, "I haven't bought anything for myself in years." And she's like, "Just go get a pair of jeans. You could probably use them." I went over, picked them up, walked back, and she goes, "Wait a second, you didn't even look." I said, "Yeah, I did. This is
You
them.
just know your
This is good."
size.
Yeah.
You're Jerry Seinfeld.
I took them home, tried them on. All right, they're cool. Good to go.
Got his new jeans. All right, coming up, we have tons more on this Birds game coming up this weekend. We're very excited about it. Plus, someone from our YouTube community is going to grab our first 2 seats to the live broadcast coming up next Tuesday with Angelo Cataldi guest hosting with us in the 8 o'clock hour. Our guest, I shouldn't say hosting, guesting with us in the 8 o'clock hour. He's
you know something
he's
the
all
rest of us
retired.
don't.
No, he's all retired now. You're never getting him out of retirement. Believe me, at this point. John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. Winter's here. The air is getting crisp and cold outside.
Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Appreciate you being a part of the John Kincade Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And a chance for someone in our YouTube audience is going to win because they did this. I'll tell you what this is in a second. Last year, the Birds won 28-20 on average by an 8-point margin over a 17-game slate. This year, 3 points, 27-24. I think it's part of the big difference of this team is we talk about the nail-biter games week after week after week. A +8 margin last year, a +3 margin this year. And it's amazing because both teams were doing really, really well, but one's just playing a much more of a tightrope schedule. And it might just be the easy schedule that you had last year compared to this one, even though some of the tough games really weren't supposed to. The Jets were supposed to be great with Aaron Rodgers. They weren't. You lost to them. The Bills aren't living up.
Defense.
Bills are 6-6. I mean, that you shouldn't be losing to a 6-6 team, but the Bills were expected to be a Super Bowl type team.
Yeah, and they were playing in desperation mode also, and they still have a quarterback that can he make plays, and he came in here and did just that. It'll be interesting if the Eagles have a good playoff run, maybe get to the Super Bowl again. Do you make the argument having a harder schedule is better for you?
Well, you got there last year with the easier schedule, and you blew out 2 opponents in the postseason. I mean, crushed them.
Yeah.
That was pretty easy. I think it's the easiest path I could ever imagine last year. I mean, San Francisco, once they lose their quarterback, and the Giants was just terrible.
All right, ready? I got a trivia question for you real quick here.
Okay.
All right, Time Magazine. Did you guys see this on Twitter yet?
I did not.
Pat, did you? Be honest.
No.
I did not.
Time Magazine has named their Person of the Year. Who do you think it is? I love doing stuff like this where you gotta think on your feet.
Person of the Year.
Yep, 2023 Person of the Year.
Wow. Because remember, sometimes it's not somebody who's a good person. It's like they're a known. It's just because they're known.
I don't know if this person is good or not because I don't know this person.
I think Hitler won it in 36.
I mean, somebody can win.
No, I'm dead serious.
No, really.
I'm dead serious.
No,
like
but it's serious.
He was the Time Person of the Year.
Sometimes bad people
it's
win
not
the
always
award.
Good people.
I don't think we'd label this person as bad.
I'm going to go John Tortorella.
That is way incorrect.
That's way incorrect?
Way incorrect. You couldn't be any more incorrect.
Pat, you have one?
It is a female.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift is correct.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that.
I wouldn't have gotten it either. Seriously.
Just did.
No, but I mean, it's because you said it was a woman.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, who consumes more air than, I mean, the Swifties. They're all over the place.
We have a death.
What?
Yeah, it just came over across. Norman Lear.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah, Pat, you probably don't. I don't know if you. He was a
sitcom creator.
Creator, yeah. I was looking for the word creator.
Jeffersons.
Yeah, All in the Family.
All in the Family.
Yeah.
Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
One Day
Norman
at a Time.
Lear has passed.
Man, he was great.
101.
He did really great. Haley's in here. Haley, someone from our YouTube audience is going to want to come to our live show.
Yeah, and that person is very active on the YouTube. As soon as you made the announcement, he was blowing up the YouTube chat, and it is Sean Comp.
So Sean Comp will be here. Will be a guest. Him and a guest. We'll be here next week for that.
I will send Sean all the information.
Good, that's good.
Information and send it over to our promotions director.
And we'll have more in the next couple of days. We'll have another YouTube giveaway, too. So tell you to get in on that. Good job, Haley.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, John.
Hale. John Tortorella, I think, was a good pick. It was a good pick. I mean, the way the Flyers are playing and everything, I thought he'd get more national love.
It's a shame we didn't get him yesterday because that was a pretty cool win that they had against Pittsburgh the other night.
And 2 wins in a row in overtime.
Yeah, and we're going to get him on sometime soon. I wrote down some really interesting questions for him, that I'm excited for him to answer.
Well, why don't you run some of them by Brian Boucher, who joins us at 9:10?
No, these are specific for John Tortorella.
These are specific because Bush is watching every game now. He's got to concentrate on the Flyers and bring that coverage to us. We'll talk to Brian Boucher coming up today at 9:10. Don't miss a minute of it. Pat, you did mention something in the sports updates, but I just want to give a quick shout-out here, let you do a shout-out to a Philly legend.
Oh, yeah, Coach Dunphy. Fran Dunphy, coach of Penn and Temple and now at LaSalle, and he won a 600th career game. LaSalle will be honoring him before tonight's game at 6:30 against Loyola Maryland. Only 42 coaches have done it, so it's
That's
pretty
really
impressive.
incredible.
And, yeah, the guy, I mean, we've had a lot of great basketball coaches in the city throughout the years, Speedy Morris and
John Chaney.
John Chaney,
Your
obviously.
alma mater, your
Wright.
guest alma mater.
Jay Wright.
Yes.
Herb McGee, you can't forget about him too, and Dumph is right up there. So congrats to Coach Dunphy. It's quite an honor when less than 50 people have done what you did.
That's
I'd have to
staying
look,
power.
but that might be the amount of people that have walked on the moon.
That is
I'd have to look.
How many have walked on the moon?
I got to Google
that
it.
we know for true. Fran Dunphy, that's fantastic. Great.
Yeah, I was going to try to get over there tonight, and I still might.
You've been
I
known
have
to do that.
See. Yeah, I'm getting to the point where my wife is just she just looks at me like, "What game are you going to tonight?" Because I just seem to find a game. I'm going to a high school scrimmage tomorrow. Might go to LaSalle tonight. I think I'm going to Penn, Kentucky on Saturday if I can fit it in. Yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff going on.
I'm going to go see my old hockey program Monday night at Downingtown taking on Westchester East. That's always a friendly rivalry.
Nice. WC.
I like that. So there is one, Pat. You believe that Sunday is going to be a bit of a referendum on the 2023 Eagles.
Yes, I do. I think we're going to be able to finally figure out what this Eagles team is on Sunday and how they respond. I mean,
you talking about like definitively?
They got punched in the mouth.
Yep, they did.
So how did they respond? This is the last legitimately really good opponent on the schedule. We will have a really good idea of if this team was kind of getting by with smoke and mirrors for a little bit there and kind of lucking out, or if this team is a legitimate contender. They're 10-2, no doubt. I mean, they are a contender, but when you get punched like that at home, it's not a good sign.
No,
so
it's not.
Now you have to go down to Dallas and win out there, and it's not an easy game, but we'll find out how this team responds, and we're going to find out a lot about this squad come Sunday.
Okay, what gut instinct do you have?
I mean,
as far as
when I walked
how
in
did they
today,
respond to the punt?
When I walked in, I thought they would win, but Schefter kind of inceptioned my brain there, so I'm
did he use
not as confident.
He really got into your brain.
I mean, the whole you're facing another team that had 10 days off, and you're facing that team at home. That rest is huge.
It is.
So
I'm not though. I don't know. I'm not. Schefter didn't swing me.
He didn't swing me either, and I'm not swinging favorably towards the Eagles right now. This early in the week, I'm not comfortable about them going to Dallas, no matter the circumstance.
So last week wouldn't have mattered. I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't.
Okay.
They could have played great against the 49ers. I still have trepidation every time they go to Dallas. Like I said before, whether Dallas is good and the Eagles aren't that, or vice versa, going down to Dallas never sits comfortably with me.
Well, it's always important, too. It seems like it's always, whether it's important just to the local fan base or whether it's important overall, there's always that game. The Dallas game is always just a big one. And another primetime game, and it just seems like this team has had a really bunch of odd things happen to it. Pat, I'm with you, though. If they play a poor game at Dallas, I'm going to believe that's who they probably are. That they're not ready for prime time to go to a Super Bowl and defend it. And I don't know why anybody would feel that way if they go out and have another poor game like where they get dominated like San Francisco dominated.
I mean, I hope it's not the case.
I hope not, too.
Obviously.
Right.
But this is a big gut check moment for the 2023 Birds. I mean, you've heard all the coaches say that they're taking responsibility and all that. Okay, that's fine to take responsibility, but how do you respond to it? How do you clean it up? What do you fix? I talked on Monday about maybe this could be the blessing in disguise. It might be. Or this might be the moment where we point and go, yeah, it was all smoke and mirrors. And I think we'll have a pretty good idea of which one it is by how they play on Sunday.
I would say that the 9 o'clock hour of the John Kincade Show is brought to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. For details, go to Bagster.com. So I'll give it to you here is, who do you believe the Eagles can count on the most to rebound this weekend from what you saw against the 49ers? and it's got to be one player or one coach, and it can't be Nick Sirianni because he's not controlling anything. He's just getting into fights on the sidelines.
Or he controls everything.
Yeah, but he's not calling the defense. He's not calling the offense. I mean, it's hard to say, well, Sirianni's going to make the big difference when he doesn't do either.
I'm going to go. The obvious answer is Jalen Hurts.
You're most confident.
If he can that was the question.
Who are you most confident is going to rebound this weekend? From last Sunday. So it's specifically last Sunday's game. I don't mind that answer, though.
I think I am going to go Jalen Hurts because he just has that mindset. We talk about it. Never too up, never too down. If there was time to be down, it was after last week. I'm going to go there. And that's who you need to have rebound the most. I think that's the guy that the Eagles need to rebound the most after last week's loss is Jalen Hurts. Because if you're going to have confidence instilled in you as a team by something happening, it's that offense running on all cylinders.
I know Pat Egan's mind's in a pretzel, to use a Jamieism, because I bet you don't have anybody on the defensive side you think's going to do that.
Not
because I don't.
That I can think of.
Yeah, like you're confident that somebody on the defense side, because members of the defense play well.
Oh, actually, no, I'll give you one. Yeah, Josh Sweat. I didn't think he had a good game. Now, the one offsides was apparently phantom offsides, but
it seems phantom.
The other one, he jumped and gave him good field position.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
First down. Like I didn't think he played well at all. So
you think
I'll go
Josh Sweat?
Josh Sweat on the defensive side of the football.
That's not a bad one. I'm confident, though. Right now, the defense has me in a crisis of confidence, Bob. I'm not in where I'm saying, I'm feeling good about this. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think hard about the defense. Jalen Carter
did not have an impactful game at all.
Not impactful, no.
No, and I want impactful. He has to be his stat line has to be. It doesn't have to be sacks, but it has to be impactful. Quarterback hits and hurries and things like that. I thought it was the game where he was most controlled, honestly, of pretty much the whole season.
And they got rid of the ball quick. And
they did.
They didn't throw the ball long. They threw it short all day long, had a ton of yaks. But yeah, you know that Dak is going to take some shots. 15, 20 yards, middle of the field. You can just see it. So therefore, maybe guys like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis will have a chance to get some pressure coming up the middle on him. Here's hoping, at least.
Well, it's weird because I thought the offensive line, and watching the 15-minute game and then watching some of the All-22, the offensive line had a very good game considering who you're playing against. And for some reason, it just didn't translate to them having a good day where they were able to stay in the game. Because if you told me the offensive line was going to give Jalen Hurts that much time to throw, and I don't understand in a game going up against the San Francisco why in your offensive game plan, quick hits, quick passing wasn't part of the equation. It really wasn't. The slant patterns were pretty quick releases, but they still had to have time to develop, but they were hitting on them. And then it shows you in the All-22, they were dropping guys in to make it a more difficult thing. But, to me, the short passing game was almost non-existent, and I don't understand it. And they kept showing 3 different times Jack Stoll. Here! I'm here. 7 yards, 6 yards. I'm right here. And they were not respecting Jack Stoll at all. I don't think they were expecting the Eagles to throw to him.
Well, they were right.
And he was wide open. He was wide open numerous times. And there was also times, too, where you had backs that were wide open in the intermediate. It was as if Jalen was locked in on the big play, the distance play, instead of the intermediate play.
Yeah, sometimes you worry about the home run ball a little bit with this team. Is that what they're looking for? It's been taken away over the last few games. There hasn't been a lot of deep connected throws. There's reasoning for Jalen Hurts taking so long to release the ball.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I saw somebody who follows the team, and I forget, and I apologize, say on Twitter that his eyes are starting to go down again. When in panicking, he's not relying on his pocket. He's not trusting his pocket the way he did last year. I don't know. Is it afraid of getting hit on that knee again? Could there be some factors we don't know about? I guess. But the big picture is, yeah, he does seem to be holding the ball too long.
Well, things are going pretty well in Flyerland, and I don't know if that's just because they replaced Keith Jones with Brian Boucher. I mean, it's one of the theories that's been floated, and Brian Boucher joins us now on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day, and Comcast Business gets you ready for what's next. Brian, we appreciate you joining us today. I mean, what did you expect the Flyers to be where they're at right now?
Good morning, guys. First of all, you're right. It is because of the switch.
I think it was. I think Jonesy's even said it.
You nailed it. You know what? I had discussions with people before the season, with lots of people, national people, and they just glanced over the Flyers and just thought they were going to be brutal, and away we go. And I told them, I said, listen, with this group, when healthy, some guys coming back in Atkinson and Couturier, it slots everybody better. They've got an identity fourth line. Their back end, a big question mark, and there was some injuries to start, right, with Ristolainen out. But guys like Sean Walker, who played well in L.A., that a lot of people didn't really think much about, him coming in, and I think Steelers played terrifically. And if they all did that, I felt like this was a team that could be competitive and hard to play against, and it's proving out to be that way. I think teams initially took them a little lightly coming in, but now that we're past the quarter pole of the season, there's no question that they've gotten the attention of a lot of teams. But what they find out is that even though you've got the attention, they execute their game plan very well on a nightly basis, and they're hard to play against. And that's why they've had the success so far. So to answer your question, yeah, I thought they could be competitive. Is it sustainable? Hard to say, because they play a hard game. And if there's an injury or two or three, it can affect you. There's no question about that. But for right now, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Brian, you kind of just went over the X's and O's and players coming back and all. What is something else that might not be on the ice related that makes this team so far what it's been this year?
I think the one thing that, maybe fans can't relate to necessarily because they're not inside is just a willingness to play hard for one another, the culture, the foundation that's laid in the locker room. Do guys enjoy being around one another? That, to me, is obvious when you're around this team. You see that these guys care for each other. And when you have a group that is galvanized like that sticks up for each other, that wants to bail each other out, like when you take a penalty to come up with a huge penalty kill, these types of things, that's a group that's fun to play for. I played 13 years in the league. I probably played on, 4 or 5 teams that had makings of that, where guys just wanted to be with each other all day long and play hard for each other. And that's something there's no statistic or data that can back that up. It's just something that is inside that you feel. And I think this group has it right now. This is a group that's pulling on the rope all together. And when they do good things. And as I mentioned before, fun to watch.
Is that different than last year? Do you think that there's a culture change, a difference going on? And can you point any fingers without you don't have to name names, but do you think that that's a big difference from last year?
Yes, it is a big difference. I wasn't around this team on a daily basis last year because it was Jonesy that was covering the team. But from the outside looking in, you bring in some newer faces, and it's also another year of John Tortorella to kind of lay the groundwork that he wanted. And I think, let's face it, I mean, whether you like Torts or not, as a fan, this guy gets the most out of his players. And if you're not willing to buy in, you won't be around. He's not gonna put up with that stuff. He wants players that are gonna buy into what he wants and what he sees for his teams on how they should play. And his ideas are black and white. There is no gray area. There is no negotiating. Either you do it or you don't. And if you don't do it, you're out. And to me, I think as a player, that's the best way. That's the best coach to have, because you don't want to have a situation where you're not sure where you stand. Should I do this? Should I not do it? No, he's going to tell you straight to your face what he expects. And if you don't do it, you won't play. And I think when you have that type of culture laid down, sometimes it takes time for players to buy in. Some players, it might be a jolt to their system, but when they do figure it out that this is what they have to do, either they do it or they won't be around. And I think guys this year have bought in from day one of training camp. It was a good camp, and they came in and they've been relatively healthy, and they've gotten big performances from a lot of players.
Brian, let's go to your expertise. Carter Hart, he was thrown into the fire at such a young age, and that fire being that this organization has been starved for a goalie for a little while. What are your thoughts on him, his development, and where he is right now as far as his career will go?
I think he's had a great year. His numbers probably don't pop the way they should for the way I think he's played. He's had some games where I thought he's been fantastic. Yet statistically, you get out of there and save percentage is not as high as you would have thought because a few got by him. But I think he's been very good all year long, and I think the tandem between he and Ersson right now is a real positive. I think Ersson's emergence and development is going to help Hart to get quality rest, which will allow for quality starts, and you won't have to overtax them. And you got two guys that can give you a chance to win on a nightly basis. I think Hart is he's a top 10 goalie in the NHL, in my opinion. And he's a guy that, if you put him in the right situation with the right team, he could be potentially top 5. I think he's that talented. I just think that his time here in Philadelphia hasn't aligned with maybe, you think in years past in Philly, we had some really good teams. I was fortunate to play on some of those teams, and I certainly wasn't the caliber of Carter Hart. If Carter Hart would have been in goal for some of those teams that I played on, there would be a Stanley Cup won here in Philadelphia. And, I hate saying that because I wish I would have been better for, in goal to help out. But the reality is this is a really talented netminder that has all the tools to be a top-flight NHLer. I think the one thing that just stands out right now is that things have to align where the team is in a position to win, and I think he's the type of goalie that can help you do it. Hopefully it happens. I mean, we'll see as we go down the road. The team has to obviously improve for that to happen, but I think Carter Hart's at the right spot in his career where, you can make those projections and realize that he's a top-flight goalie.
All right, as the flagship station of the Flyers, we're hearing some rumblings like that you think you can come back and play, that you're ready to come back and play, and that, it's Brian, it's a little boastful on your part, I think, at this point. It's been a while, but what's this all about? You're going to take to the ice again?
I said I'm going to attempt.
See, sometimes things get lost, down the line. Tell us why you're going to be back on the ice.
January 26th, we have an alumni game against the Bruins alumni, and this is in lead up to the Hall of Fame, Flyers Hall of Fame induction of Mark Recchi on January 27th. So Rex, two-time Flyer. He also was a Boston Bruin. We don't like to remember that.
Let's forget about that part.
Yeah, and he won a cup with them in 11, beating us. But, yeah, so we have an alumni game on the 26th of January. And also we're going to honor the 50th anniversary of the 74 and 75 Cup teams, which is pretty cool. And, we got, listen, I mean, these types of games are fun for some, and they provide anxiety for others. And I think it probably is anxiety for me as a goalie that is not on the ice all that much. But I'm looking forward to being with some old teammates. We got a Flyer from every decade that'll be participating. And, it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully I can get some reps in before we get to this game and not embarrass myself. But my other goalie partner will be Robert Esch, who I hope is playing and stretching and all that good stuff, because we may have to lean on one another. But, looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. Mark Recchi was a great Flyer. Unfortunately, never did win a championship here in Philly like the rest of us, but looking forward to honoring him and looking forward to seeing a lot of the old teammates.
Okay, one last question. I'm going to take you to March, whatever it is, and the trade deadline's around that area, and the Flyers are still in contention. This is a rebuild, as it's been told. This is going to be a rebuild. Do you think they would go shopping?
No, I don't think so. Danny Briere has said it time and again. Keith Jones has said it time and again. They have their eye on the future. There's no doubt about it. They understand what this group is. They understand what this group needs. They're thrilled with the way this group is playing. And you got to understand, players are playing hard because some of these guys are playing for their contracts and their careers. So there's motivation internally for them to perform hard. No player wants to put the gear on and go out and lose and play for, what the organization is going to be 4 or 5 years down the road. Players play for today, and the coaches coach for today. And everybody understands that. But I think when it comes to the trade deadline, they will evaluate this team properly, and they won't lose sight of what the goal is, which is, I think success and the opportunity to win over a long period of time, not just a one-shot chance. But in the meantime, this team is fun to watch. They play hard for one another, easy to root for. And if you haven't watched the Flyers so far this year, because obviously everybody's busy, I would encourage fans to tune in and watch this team play because they give you everything they got. And to me, as a fan, of course, we want wins, but you want effort, and this team brings it every single night. So, they're fun to watch.
All right, go do some yoga. Get ready for it, and we'll look forward to the next broadcast. Thanks, Brian. We appreciate it. Bye. Brian Boucher joined us on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day, and Comcast Business gets you ready for what's next. So the alumni game coming up, it is the 50th anniversary of the Stanley Cup.
Is that all it's been?
It's all it's been. 50 years.
Huh.
My gosh. So you got that coming up in the spring.
I have a funny Mark Recchi story.
What's
since
that?
He's being inducted. So I'm working at the Daily News long time ago. Recchi's wife is in to get her picture taken because I guess we were doing a story on the family and him coming back, whatever.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. She's there. I'm about to walk her up to our photography department to get her picture taken, and her phone rings. And she goes, "Oh, hold on just a second." She goes around the corner, takes a call, and I see her literally start shaking. Recchi had just gotten traded. He was calling her to let her know he got traded to Boston.
Right as you're going up to have her picture taken.
Yeah, right as we were doing a story about how much they love the Philadelphia area.
Oh, my
or something
gosh.
Like that. Yeah.
All right, how about this? I'm going to throw a curveball at you. 215-263-0975. 215-263-0975. And there'll be a slight delay because I can tell you that Brendan Gunn always looks out for people who are watching on YouTube or listening on the app, gives them a little extra time. 215-263-0975 is the number. If you can give us the complete order from the Wawa order earlier today, you're going to get a $50 Wawa gift card. By the way, Pat, you were right yesterday. Had quite a few people emailing saying they love the people calling up going, "Oh, no, I don't know the order." I have no idea.
You hear a number. Oh, I can win
You hear
some.
the
I'll
number.
call.
Yeah, it's like, hey, call now for your Taylor Swift tickets. No, this is for a $50 gift card to Wawa, and Wawa's got you covered with gift cards for everyone on your shopping list. You can get happy holidays from Wawa. So Brendan's going to pick a caller. We will get him up on the line, and we'll see today whether they can give us the order because this isn't easy. You have to listen a long time. And
Long time. I don't even remember, and I was sitting right here.
I mean, you got to be able to listen. So 215-263-0975, and you will be, if you can give us the order from the 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and 8 a.m. hour, you can walk away with a $50 gift card to Wawa, which is always, always great. Yesterday we did. We just had a bunch of people calling going, "Oh, no, I don't know the order. I thought it was a $50 gift card." And I can understand that. Sometimes you hear a number and you just Pavlov's dog it a little bit. So we'll see if who's going to be our winner today, potentially.
We'll see. Should we try?
Yeah, we're going to try, and we're going to see. Let's see. Andrew in Medford. How are you, Andrew? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good, buddy. It depends. Do you have the order for us? Can you give us the three items on our order?
Yes. You started with the meatball shorty.
Excellent. Bob loves that, too.
Then Pat went with something extremely gross, which is the her sweet potato kettle corn.
Oh, I can't wait to try them now.
Andrew, you just lost, bud.
All right, and what's the last item?
And then Bob likes the chicken Caesar salad pre-made and add peanuts for special bonus.
Wow, look at that.
Boy.
You're a winner,
Good job,
Andrew. Great job in Medford. Andrew in Medford, you won a $50 gift card to Wawa. Brendan will get all your information from you. Wawa's got you covered. Gift cards for everyone on the shopping list. By the way, not just Wawa gift cards either. They're not just Wawa gift cards. You can go and get gift cards for major stores and things like that, too. You will absolutely love it. Congratulations. A Wawa gift card comes your way. We will do it again tomorrow and Friday. You'll have your opportunity to win. Great job by Andrew in Medford. So much more to come on the show. And Bob wants to ask a question about lulls that happen in every NFL season. But the question is, do you rebound good from them or bad from them? We'll get to it next. John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. I've told you about my friends at Landis Block and Concrete, and they are You're having a good Wednesday. All right, everybody complaining that it's cold outside. Bob, what do you say to people?
People that what? I'm sorry.
When they say it's cold, when they say it's cold outside.
Yeah, it's
cold
winter.
outside.
That's why we live where we live.
That's why it gets a little cold outside in the winter.
It gets warm in the summer, and the ones in between are nice too.
So we got to know that that's happening.
Yeah, but why can't you? It's not fun. Why can't you say it?
Because it's just weird. Is that I expect it to be cold outside?
It's like
it's December.
Every morning at 7:00, I'm saying it's light outside,
or it's warm. Or it's warm outside.
Are Jets fans not allowed to say, this season sucks?
Well, they say
it
that
happens every single year, right? Every single year, it's the same story.
Yeah, good point, Pat.
I mean, they're allowed to vent, right? So are we.
Yeah, they did it. It's just it's the same. I don't understand that when it's cold. Yeah, it's cold outside. It's hot outside. Okay. Yeah, I'm expecting that. Expecting a lot more too. So. Expecting, by the way, I saw yesterday, Chester County, they project 28 to 33 inches of snow this winter, cumulative. So that tells you, Bob, you're getting one of your big ones.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
No, I love all the local meteorologists, but yeah, I'm out on predictions.
You're out on that with weather. We get to make predictions all the time. Weather people, though. What, are they not allowed? I mean,
they're probably correct as much as we are, too.
I think they are.
Yeah. We all had the Eagles beating the 49ers last week.
Yes, we did.
Uh-huh.
Yes, we did.
So 23 inches, is that what you're saying?
That really 28 to 33 this winter.
Oh, yeah.
Cumulatively. But winter doesn't begin till the 21st, so a little bit of time for that. Someone or some people are clearly on the hot seat this week, and it's a big problem for them.
Yesterday's game has everyone talking, but one person is on the hot seat. Let's find out who.
Well, Sunday's game, yeah.
Yeah, it is, but I think it's a game of musical chairs right now, Bob. I think it's a one where guys are looking to all share the same seat. And right now, I'd put it clearly that Sean Desai is on the hot seat. If this team comes out and gets torched by the Dallas Cowboys, you can be as bodaciously chesty as you want to go on out there and say, I have confidence this team's going to win in the playoffs. I'm telling you, if it doesn't sink your confidence or at least damage it severely, you're not being honest. You're not being honest. You're not looking at this team objectively. Sean Desai has to come up with a plan. And he's got to come up with a plan, and it may be in collaboration with this guy. Because what has to happen is the offense of Brian Johnson has to run clock and limit possessions, as Bob pointed out earlier today. But it's Sean Desai who will get the final grade. The offense could go 3 and out, and end up screwing over the defense again with too much time of possession. They had a great plan going into the San Francisco game, but in the second quarter when they got punched in the mouth, they had no counterpunch. Sean Desai, I would expect you have a counterpunch ready to go this Sunday, or it could be a really, really ugly Monday. Our friends at H&H Heating and Air Conditioning got you covered. DelcoHVAC.com. The Hoke brothers are the best. They'll take immense care of you. You'll love what Delco HVAC brings to the table. I just am the going back, and it's very frustrating, but I love the 15-minute games, and now to be able to just watch it quickly with all the TV timeouts taken out and just watch the plays. That game looked like a domination early into the second quarter. It looked like the Eagles were going to dominate them. Even though it was 6-0, they were dominating play. And then the light switch went off in the San Francisco coaches' heads. Okay, here's the counter move. And blank. The Eagles had no counter move. And it makes me wonder, did the coordinators have a great plan coming out of the box? But when you ask them to change on the fly, and you're asking them to call a defense and call an offense on the fly, are they not able to counter like the other team can?
Yeah, it was disappointing to see that not getting a touchdown in 2 red zone opportunities may have affected the offense the way it did. As fans, you saw 6-0, and while you said, wow, they marched downfield 2 10-play drives, 12-play drives, as good as that was to see, there is a bit of, man, you only got 6 out of it. That sucks. But that should be the fans, not the players. It seemed to affect the players, maybe and or the coaches, that they didn't get that done because after San Francisco went down, scores a touchdown, they're up 7-6. Yeah, it did seem like the air kind of deflated out of the offensive balloon.
And what was good was, though, and I'm proud of it too, that the fans didn't get out of the game. That crowd was great. Into the fourth quarter, that crowd was still great, waiting for something to happen. And that tells me the fans believe in them. That tells me they believe in them big time, that they thought this team was going to come back. They'd seen enough of it. They said, okay, this is going to happen. Now we're going to find out if they can, if that faith is worth it on Sunday night. Because I just don't believe that the team is as bad as they showed on Sunday. I don't believe it. I believe that was an outlier loss, and I don't believe that there's any team in the NFL really that really can do that kind of damage to them.
Well, here's going to be the hard thing for fans, and it's going to be to try to not marry the two games if it's not warranted. Now, if it is, if the Cowboys come out and just lambaste the linebackers again and start throwing little things in the middle of the field that turn into really big things, and they start getting yards after the catch, and they do a lot of things that are similar to what San Francisco did, then yes, you marry the two and you say this is a real problem. If the Eagles go down there and play a really good game and the Cowboys wind up winning, much like you described earlier, John, maybe, a 28-24 game, but really hard fought.
Yes.
Well, then you can't, you kind of have to separate, and you might be able to say, okay, it's 2 losses in a row, but that 49ers game was different. That was more the anomaly. You went down to Dallas and you lost the game. But it's going to be hard for anybody to do that. If the Eagles come away with a loss in any way, people are going to marry the two games and come up with what could be a real problem with this team.
Well, I mean, we mock the fact that people doubted the 49ers when they lost 3 consecutive games, 19-17, 22-17, and 31-17. And people mock it like, yeah, there were people jumping off the 49ers bandwagon. They had every reason to. The 49ers didn't look like the 49ers, and they did it against the Browns, are a winning team. The Vikings are a 500-ish team. The Bengals are not. I mean, I don't think the Eagles are going to let this season spiral out of control.
Well, that's
really
why
don't.
it's so hard to look in advance of things and say this.
Right.
They'll never lose a game by 3 touchdowns. Check. They're not a team that could lose 3 in a row. After that game, I mean, it makes you lean more towards maybe they could.
I still believe that implicitly this team won't lose 3 in a row.
Yeah, well, then that makes Seattle like a must-win if something bad happens down in Dallas.
No question it does. I mean, no, it's going to be a must-win.
Yeah, so it's just it's kind of I know I say it endlessly and it gets boring, but it's such a week-to-week league. It's looking forward on anything just. It just doesn't matter, and it goes to what you said. Why do you do win-losses at the beginning of the season? You don't know how teams are going to be playing. Nobody thought that Buffalo was going to be 6-5 when they came in here, or that Kansas City's offense wasn't that good this year,
or the Bengals were going to be without their quarterback.
You just can't. You can't. It's a week-to-week league, and that's how you have to go.
I mean, it's it seems like, Pat, just from our discussion, so I don't want to paint you one way, but this game has a chance to damage your psyche.
Oh, yes, very much so. Thank you for bringing that up. There's a chance that I come in a bad way on Monday.
That it could damage your psyche.
Bad way.
Well,
yeah.
I think Adam Schefter damaged your psyche a little bit this morning, and we really need to talk to Adam about that.
That pissed me off.
Well, it pisses me off too, Adam. What you did this morning. You took Pat's psyche, and he squeezed it like it was one of those stress balls. Like he was like really trying to, get you edged up about this game. Look, I understand it. If anybody tells me that they've got severe doubts about this team, if they go out and get their backsides kicked by the Cowboys and you criticize them, you're just being Pollyanna fan. You really are. You're just being a Pollyanna fan. If you go, well, guys, because I don't want to hear anybody on Monday, we're 10-3 if they were to lose. I don't know where I'm going on this game yet. We're 10-3. What's the big deal? If I hear that on Monday, it'll make me sick to my stomach. That it's like, come on. Like, at some point, you have to be logical about this and say,
well, it's like us at 10-1. There's probably people saying to us, come on, guys, they're not that good. They're not beating teams out. They have deficiencies on this team. And we were saying, yeah, but it's 10-1. Maybe they saw what we're seeing now, but they just saw it before the fact. Or before it was so blatant, I should say.
Yeah, but there's nothing about picking the Eagles to win when you're 10-1. There's nothing about picking that is outrageous or otherwise. I mean, at that point, it's the idea. I just think the swings are going to be if you see another lopsided loss. And I don't expect that to be the case. In fact, that's probably what I'm most confident in is that I think these teams are going to trade scores back and forth. I don't see it being a defensive battle. I don't see either team's defense really stepping up and doing much. Dallas has given up. Dallas has played the Seattle game now they're not even a winning team anymore. They were a winning team when they started the game, which doesn't count because now they're a 6-6 team. Dallas they haven't been challenged. They're playing a schedule that the Eagles got accused of last year.
Yeah, the only thing I can say definitively about this game right now is that I don't think the Eagles go down there and crunch the Cowboys.
I think that's fair.
I could see the Eagles getting crunched. I could see that happening. I could see the Eagles winning the game. Right now, I don't have a definitive play on how I think the outcome is going to turn out. But the one thing I will say is, I don't think the Eagles go down there and pace the Cowboys.
Oh, I don't see that either. Pat, I think that's fair. Bob, nobody should be chesty, as you say, chesty about this game.
No, I don't think anybody is. Before my 6-0 loss last night, that was fun.
That's terrible, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the bench and the ref came out and he's like, "Oh, what do you think of Sunday's game?" I feel like they can win. Yeah, I think they'll pull it out actually. And he goes,
"Right,
I don't."
Really?
And I think that's the majority of Eagles fans. And it does make sense. Look, you get smacked at home, and now you got to go on the road to Dallas. It's something that you brought up, John. When was the last time they swept Dallas? Dak always elevates his game when he plays the Birds. I think normally we'd probably look at this game being really tough. I'm going, Billy Mumphrey, cockeyed optimist, like, hey, you're not going to lose 2 games in a row. But, yeah, I think a lot of Eagles fans are probably sitting there going, I don't feel great this weekend.
Yeah, I don't like that though. Like I think this team deserves more.
Deserves more in the way of what?
Respect.
I don't think they're going to win this weekend right now. It doesn't mean I disrespect them.
No. But I think that if you just automatically, nothing could swing you.
If Dak comes up with an injury before then, I just don't right now. What's today? Wednesday? Of Wednesday right now, I don't like the Eagles going down and winning that football game.
Okay, but that's fine. I mean, that's not, and you're giving it you're making good reasons for it.
Yeah, I think Dallas is playing. Look, Schefter said they're rolling. He's a national guy. We all know that Schefter is very straight arrow and everything. Most of the things he says aren't opinionated; they are fact driven. He's not just saying they're rolling because he knows. He knows that they're rolling right now. I don't love the Eagles right now going down there to Dallas.
But if there's any reason, are there more reasons and this is what I would say is, are there more reasons to doubt the Eagles than the Cowboys? The Cowboys in December are a constant reason to doubt. The Cowboys in big games when it counts the most, you have every reason to doubt them. And you have empirical evidence from year after year, even this administration. You've got a couple years of data to be able to look at that when they're flying high and it comes around to December and then it comes around to playoff time that they're not going to deliver.
Yeah, but you said it yesterday. You said you can't look at last year. And, so you can't look at years past. Maybe it will happen to them again. Maybe that is something. But right now, in the present, I don't love the way the Eagles played the other day. They have a really tough schedule. All those things going against them. Dallas is rolling 14 in a row at home. Yeah, I mix all those things together, and I don't feel good about the Eagles going down and winning this weekend.
All right, in the 9 a.m. hour right now, 215-263-0975. If you want to attend our live broadcast coming up on Tuesday, December the 12th, with special guest Angelo Cataldi joining us. We'll also have plenty of Eagles coverage as we'll be getting ready for that Seattle game coming up next Tuesday. You'll have breakfast on us. You and a guest can attend. We will give you opportunities each of the next 3 days after this to be able to join us on Tuesday. Get a copy of Angelo's book, Loud, 215-263-0975. If you can attend Tuesday morning, you and a guest, Brendan Gunn will get you on the list so you are able to show up for the show. I just wanted to do a quick thing here on the winter meetings before we get out of here. It really does sound like the Phillies are going with a roll-it-back strategy. Just run it on back. And that's surprising to me. It is a little surprising to me. I think I would want to mix things up a bit. And instead, it doesn't look like they're going to be mixing much up. They don't seem – they're in on spare – it looks like they're in on spare parts, that they think that they can tweak this thing. And if they tweak it, you're going to get a different result. I don't know where you guys fit on that, but a tweak really doesn't do it for me. I don't think a tweak is going to get this team to where it needs to go.
Well, they brought in a number 2 pitcher.
Oh no, well they did. They re-signed their own guy. They didn't bring in anybody.
Well, if you brought in somebody, who were you going to get that was better than Aaron Nola?
No, I got
so
you.
in that way, you can look at it that way. They brought in a number 2 pitcher.
Well, no, they retained their guy.
Well, okay.
That's the same team you're bringing back, though. Same guy who most people in this fan.
Where do you want change?
I absolutely think they needed to change. The approach that this lineup doesn't work. When it works for stretches, and then it goes through stretches where great pitching and great teams can make them look foolish. Don't even have to throw strikes to get them out. I'll say it now. I'll say it again. In the summer, I do not believe this is the strategy they should be taking. I think that it's a mistake to believe that this team can run it back and that it's going to work next year any differently than it has in the past. I don't want it to be that way, but I wanted to see some piece shook up that if you moved one piece, you could bounce around and move them around, and this lineup would look differently. Even though Rob Thompson says he's evaluating the leadoff hitter, which makes me exciting on what to do with the leadoff hitter. Maybe it is. Yeah. And maybe they'll do what logically they should have been doing all along. But they're gonna discuss it. I wonder if discussions is this is gonna get people off my back. This is gonna get people all off my back. If I just say, yeah, we're evaluating the position, if he comes out and says, no, I want Schwarber back there. Or is he going to go 16 games and say, that's enough. I've seen enough.
No, I think I take Thompson as being pretty honest to his word. I think they probably are evaluating that. It's probably the biggest thing they're evaluating this offseason is do you have Schwarber leading off? Look, it's one of the best lineups in all of baseball. Tweaking, if you're going to get a left fielder with Pop, I'm all right. With that, I was calling for that before.
Right. You were calling for that.
I really, when you go up and down that lineup, you can talk about approach and all that, or maybe you change some things around. I don't have much of a problem with it. So, the success, one team out of 32 is going to win a World Series. They got to a World Series and we're one game away from a World Series. That's pretty good success. So I don't know if I need to retool a whole lot.
Well, 4, 5, 6 of the Houston series, you got no hit. And then your lineup did nothing for you to be able to win a game in the World Series. So you had a 3-game, just where you were shut down because you went up against elite pitching. Then this year, you go up against Arizona, a team you should have dominated. It shouldn't have gone 7 games. And you managed to lose Game 6 and Game 7 at home without Trey Turner, without Bryce Harper. The bats just go cold, where they're not even.
They went cold. You can't say they definitively are always going to go cold.
No, they don't always. That. But again, clutch moments. Big opponents, biggest stage. It's not August. In August, you might beat the Mets with that. You might beat the Marlins with that. But I don't think you're beating the best teams with that. But we're going to watch the winter meetings. Maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe there's something. Dave Dombrowski's not known for the big behind the scenes move, but maybe it'll happen. Maybe it's all going to go down, and we're going to be surprised with what they do. Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, our friends at H&H Heating and Air Conditioning, the Hoke brothers. Take great care of you. And make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research today. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. Thanks, Joe Hoke and the entire team. We love you and appreciate you. We're going to have a big day tomorrow as we get closer and closer, including a game time, Pat, with life-changing prizes or just what?
I guess you got to listen, John.
That's a good idea.
I guess you have to listen and find out.
Plus Wawa gift card to give away and more chances to come to our live broadcast coming up next Tuesday. Have a great, great Wednesday. John Kincade Show leading into Andrew Salchunas, and then the best show ever here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Get the Bet Parks app and download it today because you're going to want to bet the Sixers tonight, right? You want to bet